a Skype or a Zoom faster than I did yesterday, just so I could get on to watching the last. With about 90 seconds left, I think, when we signed off yesterday in regulation, and then they went into overtime, and you saw that this. Yeah, I think that was big because I think you saw that this team can dig deep when they have to, and. Hearing it from Matthew Meyer and Jared Butler yesterday, they kind of felt that the way that the Kansas game played wasn't about fatigue. It was just about confidence and the way that they kind of forgot who they were for a little bit. And then they found themselves late in that game yesterday. And, Jared Butler and Davion Mitchell, Matt Meyer in particular, just really played a great game.
Craig, you're muted. Sorry about that. Okay.
Yeah, it was incredible to watch, and just congratulations to the Baylor men's team. What an incredible win. I didn't have a whole lot of confidence going into yesterday's game just based off what we had seen previously, and they were able to flip that switch and get it done. And I'm glad we don't have to do the tedious play-by-play calls today. Like yesterday, it was hard not to want to talk about every single thing that was occurring, but I think it kind of ramped up the stress level. So it was nice to just be able to get off the show and then just watch what happened. And what a way to secure the Big 12 championship. It was something that if they didn't win last night or yesterday afternoon, that you start to get a little nervous with only 2 games left to play and 2 really good teams in front of you. And they went and beat the biggest monster standing in their way, and they beat them at their place. So there's no doubt who the Big 12 champs are. That is going to be a well-deserved trophy, a well-deserved banner, and whatever else goes with it. And just what a performance, what an effort, and what a way to finish.
Well, there's no question. In fact, in my conversation earlier today with Coach Drew, thanks to David Kay, he was getting a little antsy because of the clock ticking had they not finished it out yesterday in Morgantown. So here are a couple of comments. We'll have King McClure in a moment and then hear from Scott Drew himself the day after. Matthew Meyer, who was phenomenal, scored 10 points in a row during a time when Baylor needed anything they could get from anybody. He also had, 5 rebounds, 4 steals. He made a great play on the court side, and he flipped the ball back over to a teammate that led to an easy basket for Davion Mitchell. He was asked after the game, this is Matthew Meyer, on just what this was like, and was it sweeter because they had to wait a couple of days? Matthew, with how everything was delayed and then the way you lost Saturday and then this game and then overtime, did it even make it more special the way this thing ended to celebrate this way?
Yeah, because we didn't know we had it until the final buzzer, and that was just so much suspense, so much fight, that Mark got blocked going in. I think we were down. But I was telling Mark, I was like, hey, bro, it's not over. Don't worry about it. And then Jared came down and had a layup. So, it was super special. And it's a moment I'll never forget.
Can you kind of explain physically, do you feel like you have everything now back, the energy back? It seemed like you guys played with much more energy today. And when did you feel that come back?
I'd say yesterday, because we were all just talking about how we can get back to playing our game and what that meant to us. And it was really just it's just mentality. We were all in decent shape by the time Iowa State and Kansas started. It just we just had to encourage each other and just be like we had the weight of being undefeated on us, and then we lost against Kansas, and now it's a total reset. So, yeah.
All right, so that's Matthew Meyer. He was as bad or struggled as much as he did Saturday against Kansas as a lot of his teammates did. He was phenomenal. He is Team Prilosec, I'm going to start calling him, because he can give you the heartburn, but he can give the opponent's heartburn as well. It was good to see what he did. And then Jared Butler, after the game, what it meant and what they've learned. Jared, can you try to describe the differences in the emotions of your face at the end of that Kansas game and then your face as you went racing down courtside to hug your teammates?
Oh, man. Somebody told me, my parents told me the other day, they were like, you look defeated. You look like you lost your whole family after the Kansas game. And, it's an up and down basketball. That's what basketball does to you. It's so important to us, important to me. It's night and day.
Does it also explain that with you not on the floor, that this is the depth of the team, that they were still able to overcome that? And how much does that say about the toughness and guts of this team? Yeah,
I've been saying it all season. We can't win unless we got all 14 guys. We can't win unless all guys are locked in, contributing. It takes all of us to win. And you saw that tonight. You're gonna see it again. You're gonna see it down the road. That's what it is.
Butler with 25, Davion had 20, and then Matthew Meyer, of course, with his 18 as well. So, Paul, if you were Coach Drew, and I asked him this, I asked Coach Fraschilla this, and I asked Jay Billis this. We'll ask Pat Nunley this. We'll ask King McClure this. Paul and Craig, how do you handle these last two games? Do you keep grinding to try to get everything back to where you were for Kansas City, or do you start to download a little bit of the minutes? What would you do?
No, I'm all. You got a 3-week pause. You need to manage minutes, all gas, no breaks, because Craig? This team was on a roll.
Yeah, Craig.
Yeah, there's no reason to take the foot off the gas in any way, shape, or form. I mean, you played 3 games in the last 5 weeks, so you don't need rest. You don't need, a break. You need actually to practice. You need to play. You need to be in game shape now more than ever. So I don't think this team is satisfied with just a regular season Big 12 championship. And what an accomplishment that was. Again, just an incredible thing to witness. But I think they probably want to go and win that Big 12 tournament championship now and really leave no doubts in anyone's minds. Not that there really should be with what we saw yesterday and the way they finished that game off, and what an incredible game it was too. So no, it's foot on the gas and keep moving forward, and just hopefully, I did see the celebration at the airport last night, and that was cool to see. But I have to admit that my only thought was like, please God, get tested immediately after you get to the locker room, because there were high fives and masks were somewhat present, and I know the players and coaches had masks on, and that was really cool. And like in a normal setting, that would have been awesome, and hopefully there would have been thousands of people out there. But given what we've seen this season, as cool as it was, I was still kind of like, all right, guys, go get tested back when you get back to the facilities.
From T-Rex, it's been a great 7 days. I said on the show last Tuesday after the reschedule that we would just come to their house and shut them up, and we sure did. From Daniel, I was working yesterday, so I didn't get to see the game live. I watched it on delay after I got off at 6. What amazes me is the West Virginia fans who are actually complaining about the officiating. They shot twice the number of free throws. Baylor made the ones in the clutch, which was very impressive, with Davion and Flagler, among others. And then Scotty B, I definitely I think it's a huge that we won the conference yesterday. We can now avoid that 2-7, 10 winner matchup in the Big 12 tournament. Now we get to gain some momentum going into the Big 12 tournament with a win or two. It will be interesting to hear what Coach Drew, Fran Fraschilla, Jay Billis, and King McClure, among others, Pat Nunley, have to say about what you do these next. I think you're right. I think it's going to be all gas, no brakes. I think they're going to push. And actually, yesterday was more of their minutes rotation as normal, which they couldn't really do against Iowa State and or Kansas. This is a stat, Craig, I don't know if you put this up. It might have been Jennifer in a text. Before Scott Drew arrived in 97 years, Baylor had played a game as a ranked team twice. Twice they played in 2 games as a ranked team. In the 97 years before Scott Drew arrived, they have now played in 261 of those.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly impressive, and that's why Scott Drew, in my opinion, is the coach of the year in college basketball. I know there are some other worthy candidates as well, but, he's done a remarkable job. There's been thousands of words said about it now at this point, and he probably deserves to have thousands of more words said and written about it as well. I think, finally people are starting to come around. Like the Scott Drew can't coach narrative kind of has died out over the last couple years, but I think just the overall opinion and respect level for Scott Drew nationally amongst college basketball fans has grown as well. And yeah, I saw some of that barking from West Virginia fans. I mean, I don't even delve into that world with people like that, because like you mentioned, the free throw margin, any person who watches that game and is a West Virginia fan and looks at the free throw totals and tries to make a complaint about the officiating is just a really sore loser who can't accept losing or accept the fact that their team had a prime opportunity and blew it on their home court. They blew it. West Virginia blew it. Nobody handed it to Baylor. Baylor went out and earned that. And there's going to be a lot of hateful people, a lot of haters out there. They're going to want to try to, dim the shine of that. There's no dimming that shine yesterday. That was the best moment in Baylor basketball history. That was a huge win for the program, and there's nothing that anybody can take away from that.
By the way, that stat came from your mother. That came from Cindy in that group text. King McClure's in the background. You see him. Coming up next on SicEm365 Radio, former Baylor guard and ESPN broadcaster King McClure. And then Scott Drew on SicEm365 Radio. Waco Custom Marketplace, I told you yesterday, finally, the information is out. 30-pound bags of live crawfish sacks, for $4.25 a pound. 30-pound bags of live crawfish sacks for $4.25 a pound. You must place the order by 6 o'clock today. You can pick it up after 2 o'clock on Friday or throughout the day when they're open on Saturday. 30-pound bags of live crawfish, and they are delicious, absolutely delicious. It's that time of the year for $4.25 a pound. Must place orders by Wednesday, 6 o'clock. Pick up Friday after 2 or anytime they're open on Saturday at Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Get the vehicle you've been dreaming about at the President's Day event at Allen Samuels. The 2020 Dodge Charger SXT, ranked #1 in initial quality and driver appeal, has special values of $6,170 or 0% for 72 months, plus $3,000 in combo cash. The 2020 Dodge Charger is at the forefront of muscle car design. From the body to the wheels, it continues to impress. Visit the customer award-winning Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco, to see the 2020 Dodge Charger SXT. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
In Texas, there's pea-size hail and baseball-size hail. Guess which one hit our house? We didn't even know where to begin, but we called our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent, and he was so reassuring. He knew exactly what to do to get our house back into shape and our lives back to normal. Now, we're even more thankful for the roof over our heads.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
3, left side, good. King McClure, there's his second made 3 of the afternoon.
Are you a SicEm365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
All right, here we go. We are full throttle. I mean, we are bringing out the hammers today as Baylor the day after they win a Big 12 championship. And what a better way to start than with a young man that played, was a part of building this momentum, and also who is a broadcaster for ESPN, our weekly analyst, and our great friend King McClure. Look at the smile on your face, man. How you doing? You look so good today, as always. What did yesterday mean to a former player like yourself?
Man, it meant everything, to be honest. Just going through everything that we've been through as a program, as a family, it means the world. I mean, winning the Big 12 championship, doing something we've never done before, ever, it's huge. I mean, I'm lit. I can't even, there's no other words to describe it. I'm super lit, and I'm super ecstatic for those guys. I mean, I feel like I'm part of it too. And so I'm super happy right now.
Well, and King, you're a part of the very recent building of this. I mean, you played with a lot of these guys that are on the roster. You know them well, but also like even the guys going back 17 years with Coach Drew, because this has been Coach Drew and his staff this long time, have to feel like they have a part in this because it was built from very much the ground up.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at what Coach Drew has done, I mean, from the time he took the job, and I mean, the program was honestly probably the worst program ever. I don't know why he would even take that job, but he did. And he was able to resurrect Baylor University's basketball program and took it from there to now Big 12 champions. And I mean, it's everybody feels like they had a part of it. It's the first time ever. Honestly, I really had lost the words. That's how happy I am right now. That's how lit I am for these guys.
King, as far as the game yesterday, there was a lot of doubts about, what Baylor's shape would look like. Would they be the team that we saw those first 2 games back that, especially in the Iowa State game, was really struggling, it seemed like health-wise. But, Matthew Meyer said in the postgame that it was more of a mentality thing than a physicality thing, and they kind of had to change their mindset. What did you notice about the difference in the way they played yesterday?
So, I mean, I got to be honest. I had a game at a game at 6, and their game went overtime, probably ended around like 6:20. So I was doing my game right here, but I was watching their game right here because I was locked in. I really wanted it so bad. But from the time I watched, I mean, they just like when West Virginia went on the run, when Emmy Matthews had that dunk, I was like, I'm sorry, I get a little nervous. But the way those guys are just able to rally from behind, never ever felt like, they were out of the game. They always had that composure of, we're still going to win this ball game, no matter what happens, no matter what kind of run. And West Virginia is not an easy place to play against because a lot of times, I mean, I'm not supposed to say this, but a lot of times you're playing against the team and the refs when you're on those type of environments. So that's not an easy place to play. So for those guys to still be composed, and Jared Butler and Matthew Meyer just to put on a show like that. 2 guys who I played with who have a lot of potential, but for them to put on a show like that and really battle. But credit to West Virginia, too, also. I mean, we can't take nothing away from them. As far as Big 12 goes, they're hands down second best team in the Big 12, and it's not even close.
Could you imagine if that would have been a tournament game, like an NCAA tournament game? That was as well played game. I know that everyone had some mistakes, but most of it was because the other team forced them.
Yeah, those 2 teams are top of the league. I mean, West Virginia is a great program. I think you probably asked me this like a few weeks back who the second best team in the league was. I think it's West Virginia. Just Taz Sherman is a bucket getter. Miles McBride is really good too. So credit to West Virginia. They came out there and battled. They played their behinds off. But Baylor, just their composure and their ability to always stay calm and not ever get panicked or get rattled no matter what was going on. Hey, we deserved that one. That was probably the best way to win the Big 12 championship in a battle like that.
King, this team hasn't had to, they had to try to fight back against Kansas, but they didn't have it in the tank, like emotionally, physically, whatever you want to say. But was it important for them to have a game like that where it didn't come so easy to them and they had to fight back so they know what to do when that happens again? Because it's going to happen again when you get into March.
Yeah, I think these last 3 games have been probably what Baylor needed more than anything. I mean, the game against Iowa State, a super close game that came down to the wire. The loss at Kansas, they needed the loss. I mean, you're not going to go perfect in a college basketball season. This isn't like the 70s. So you're not going to do that. So I think they needed a loss. And then this last game against West Virginia, they definitely needed this test and this battle. And I think Thursday, tomorrow, is going to be a hard game too. It's not going to be an easy game to beat Oklahoma State the way that they're rolling, and Texas Tech as well. I mean, I think both of these last 5 games post-COVID, I think that this is what Baylor needs in order to get them over that hump, because they're going to have a bunch of these tests in March.
How important was it, you think, King, to get that win last night, to not enter these final 2 games with the pressure of, oh my gosh, we have to win a Big 12 title? Now that that's off their back, they don't relax, obviously, but how does that change the mentality a little bit?
Yeah, I do think if they would have lost this game yesterday, there would have been everybody in the media, everybody in the world would have, is what happened to Baylor? Is Baylor's not the same team after COVID? So I think it was huge for them to get this win and do that and basically get secure the championship. Because now, like you said, you can't relax, but there's no extra added pressure. Because Coach Drew wants to win every single game, and the players do too. So these next 2 games will be huge, but you're right, there's no added pressure to win a Big 12 championship now.
You know, King, what would you do? And Coach Drew kind of said they're going to keep pushing. And Jay Billis, Fran Fraschilla, they weren't so sure what to do. What do you do? Do you keep pushing because you had the long pause? Keep pushing to try to get back to that elite level with these games you have coming up next?
Keep pushing. I mean, in my opinion, I think that, you just do what you normally do. I feel like the coaches do a great job of getting guys prepared. I feel like you shouldn't change anything. I feel like you should continue to go with your regular regimen, get the guys ready, play these games. They're just as important. You want to do things that Baylor's never done. Going, what would that be? 17 and 1 in conference?
13 and 1.
13 and 1 in conference. Yeah, 13 in conference. That's impressive. Do something that's never been done before. Can keep it going. But I don't think you switch it up. I think you continue to do your same regimen and go about it like you would do any other game, like you did before COVID.
King, this is Matt Meyer in particular yesterday. I know you had breakfast with him before he got his mullet, which may be the source of his new superpowers. But he had a game yesterday that I don't think he has a year ago, where the first part of the game he was excellent defensively and couldn't make a shot, and then the last part of the game he was unconscious from 3. How much growth does that show for him, that he can have a game where it's not totally dictated on the fact that he's making shots?
Yeah, I think there's so much growth in what you just said. Matt Meyer's a guy my senior year, his freshman year. If he wasn't making shots, he wasn't playing. And he was getting super down on himself. And I was normally the guy consoling him. Like, bro, it's okay, keep your head up. And he would almost not necessarily be a cancer to the team, but would kind of bring down the energy. And because he was sulk. Now, 2 years later, Matt Meyer, he was missing shots, but defensively, he was impressive. He was able to compete in the toughness. The tough plays, he got a rebound, and it was like 2-3 guys on him early in the game. And he was holding it, like clearing guys out. That's not a Matt Meyer play that he was making his freshman year. So the growth in his ability mentally and physically, able to go down there, get rebounds. They playing him out to 4. And West Virginia's not he's basically down low. There's a few times he got a spot pass in the dunker spot and just went up. He's playing the 4. He's really playing the 4 yesterday. And that position right there, just him being able to battle, being able to rebound. He's grown so much, and I'm so proud of him, because a lot of guys, he's talented enough to where he could have left. He could have left and been a star somewhere else, but he decided to stick it out because he knew that Coach Drew and the staff had a plan for him, and he really, really wanted to be good at Baylor. So got to give props to that guy. He's been amazing, and I'm super proud of him.
why is Oklahoma State more dangerous right now than they were, maybe a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago?
Cade Cunningham is an absolute problem. I mean, there's a reason why he's projected number 1 pick in the draft. I mean, what he's doing with those guys, because just to be frank, Oklahoma State, without Cade Cunningham, I don't know how good they would have been. But right now they're confident. Whenever you get a team that wins games and has gained their confidence, especially then you put that along with the number 1 player in the draft, they're dangerous. I mean, they swept Oklahoma, which is hard to do, beat them back-to-back. And they're just a good team. They're long, they're athletic, they play defense, they compete, they make shots. They do all the little things. I mean, Coach Boynton is a good coach too. So this should be a good game tomorrow. So
let's see that Big 12 championship smile one more time from you before we head off to talk to your coach, Coach Drew. When you see him next, I know we're up against the break, but when you see him next, do you just give him the biggest bear hug? I know we got to be careful with all social distancing, but do you just give him the biggest bear hug you can, or he give you one?
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I think I give him a big hug, and I'm about to tease something here. We might be doing something next week that might release next Saturday. So might be doing something with ESPN with Baylor with a little feature piece. So we'll see how that goes. I'll tease it right now. So there we go.
All right. Let us know when we can pass it along to the audience. I know you'll let us know. King, great to see you, man. Congratulations, because you're a part of this. Everyone who's ever been a part of Baylor basketball, not just in the Scott Drew era, but also before that. We'll hear from Carol Dawson, who played in the late 50s, coached in the 70s. He'll join us at around 5:20. Have a great day. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. Y'all too.
King McClure from ESPN, former Baylor guard, with us on SicEm365 Radio. Coming up next, he's the head coach of the Big 12 champion Baylor Bears. Conversation with Baylor head coach the next day, Scott Drew on SicEm365 Radio. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness right now with tennis lessons available. Individual, youth, and also adult tennis lessons available. And also right now, in fact, starting today, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness is now giving the opportunity, if you want, to have yourself a beer or a glass of wine, as they have been cleared to do that effective today. The bottom line about Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness is it's a gym, and it's a tennis-type academy, whether it's Britt Coleman, who handles the youth tennis lessons, or Joe, who does what the adults have available when it comes to lessons and tournaments and much, much more. The energy inside the building's amazing. Flat screens everywhere. You have Wi-Fi, so you can hook up to an app and make sure you listen to whatever it might be, whatever is on the screen in front of you with what you do. But again, the beer and wine sale started today at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jeweler, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on SicEm365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, located at the Imperial Drive exit off Loop 340 in Waco. Proud supporters of all Baylor Athletics.
Baylor men's basketball coach of the Big 12 champion Baylor Bears, Scott Drew, on SicEm365 Radio. What does it mean when you hear that?
You can say that again. I really like that.
Big 12 champion Baylor Bears and Scott Drew.
Well, that sure sounds great, and I tell you, everyone is a big part of it. As you know, we talked going back when you first got here, and just the importance of the fans and protecting the home court and what they mean to the team. And when recruits come and they see the fans, and that's part of the reason why they choose a school. So I think all Baylor Nation can enjoy, and the Baylor family can enjoy saying Big 12 champs, because I know we've waited, we've been patient, and we've been pacing ourselves. But I know Coach Hart left me a voice message, and I think he was breaking down the 1950 team for me. So.
I love that. I talked to Carroll Dawson. He said he got a hold of you as well. That dates back to when he was in the late 50s, coached in the 70s. What does it mean when you've heard from, I'm sure, dozens and dozens of people connected to Baylor or anywhere else or connected to college basketball?
Well, honestly, for me personally, like, that is such a joy and excitement to share the excitement that other people have, and especially all the people that have helped support Baylor basketball for all these years. And I mean, being able to reach out and thank them and tell them how much we appreciate them, because as you know, when you're not winning championships, it's a lot harder to support a program. And people have been with us since we've been here and been with Baylor since it was founded.
Scott Drew with us on SicEm365 Radio. You know, it's an amazing story. You've had teams that have knocked on the door last year. There's been other teams, Elite Eights a couple of times. Why this team, Scott? Why was it this team that was able to win the championship?
Well, I tell you, like you said, last year, I think I made a mistake as a coach. I told them, you look at all the the history, and normally you lose 3-4 games and you're winning the Big 12. So after we went through last year and only lost 3 and didn't win it, we're like, you better not lose any, So, but this is we finished second, I believe, 3 times, and it's nice to finally get over the hump. And I can tell you that I know Coach Tang was really excited, but just being on the bus ride to the airport, waiting to get to West Virginia, because it's about a 30-minute ride, and hearing from all the past players and all the past staff and everybody, again, that's what just makes it so exciting.
What did it mean to you as a team, and you or personally, and the players and other coaches and staff, when you got back to the airport and there were people waiting for you?
Oh, I tell you, it meant a lot to our guys, and I can't thank them enough for. It was late, and I know it's a school night, so for the students to be out there, and then for the fans to be there, that was it was a touch of class and greatly appreciated. So I know our guys really liked it.
You have a lot of players who could have left, and of course there's things that are different because of the pandemic, COVID, whatever, and the rules. But the fact that a lot of guys wanted to come back that could have moved on, that could have gone to the next chapter. How important is what is that? What is that as far as the story of Jared Butler, Maceo Teague, among others, that they wanted to finish it off because they couldn't get a chance to do that last year, and then they were able to experience that? What does that mean?
Well, even Obim wanted to be a GA so he could help finish what we started last year. And Jared fouls out, and I was looking for him, and he was behind. He was in the back praying. He was so nervous. So it just shows you how much they all really wanted it. Obviously, you saw Mark Vidal's emotion and everyone else's afterwards. But this is something where everyone starts the season, and one of the first goals is always to win conference. And as you know, the Big 12 has been the toughest conference 6 out of the last 7 years, and no one's won it outright since 2003 besides Kansas. So it's great to get Baylor on the map as far as that goes, and hopefully we can continue now the rest of the season.
Because of the 21-day pause, and then the way, you even said you woke up after 4 o'clock in the morning after beating Iowa State, or how Saturday went, where it just didn't seem like you guys were anywhere close to who you've been. Did it make it even more special because you had to wait a little bit longer and then to do it in Morgantown in a game that was a classic game?
Yeah, we were personally. I was just hoping it happened. obviously, the sooner the better. Because there's no guarantees that any games are wins, and you look at it. You got at Kansas, a top 25 team, at West Virginia, a top 25 team, and at home against 2 top 25 teams, and in unprecedented times in waters, as far as no one knows exactly how long it takes a team to get back when you go through a pause like we went through. So definitely, everyone was really excited at Kansas and was hopeful, but I thought our players were really, really locked in for Kansas, but even went to another level at West Virginia. I mean, they were all dialed in, and in warm-ups, I always ask the coaches how was warm-ups, and the coaches all said we had more pop, more energy, and Charlie, our strength coach, said the same thing. So I was feeling good, and you know what? We started out great in the first 10 minutes, and then things, as they always do, get interesting and on the road. And one thing, playing last year, you remember last game of the year, they stormed the court afterwards, and I know our guys didn't like that taste, and to win down there and what some people say has been the best college game of the year so far was a great feat.
Well, it was incredible. Is there a sense, I know you have bigger goals. You have Oklahoma State, you have Texas Tech, you have the tournament in Kansas City, and then the March Madness. But is there a sense of relief, you think, without losing the edge? Is there a sense of a burden being lifted off your shoulders as a program?
No, there is for me. I mean, sometimes when you want something so bad, you become where you don't play well, and I thought as we would have gotten closer. If you lose at West Virginia and say you lose it against Oklahoma State, you don't going into senior night, the emotions and everything that would have been entailed in there. So definitely being able to get the first conference championship since 1950, and a goal that and a big reason why a lot of people came back to get that accomplished. I know we'll be excited for Oklahoma State because anytime you're playing a Big 12 game, you're going to be excited, especially a top 25 team. And Cade Cunningham is the number one pick in the draft projected wise. I know he didn't play the first time, so our guys will be excited to play in front of the home crowd. But to be able to know that you've accomplished your goal, that definitely allows you to relax a little.
How do you manage Oklahoma State and Texas Tech? You missed all that time, and you are so close. I don't know how close you are to being back where you were, and that might take more time. But how do you then, does it affect how you manage minutes and how you handle focused on Oklahoma State and Texas Tech?
Well, I think it definitely affected how we managed minutes against Iowa State and Kansas, and then I thought we returned more to our normal rotation at West Virginia, and I would think we would continue along that path. And at the same time, when you do miss 21 days, guys are anxious to play because we had to watch a lot of basketball. Now we're excited to be a part of that basketball. So I don't think we would change anything, and hopefully we can continue to improve and get better and sharper and get ready for the biggest goal, which is always the NCAA tournament.
There are Hall of Fame coaches in this conference, and there are some that should be, and you're building your own resume. But what did it mean, Bob Huggins? I don't know if this story is true or not. Did he invite you on his talk show early in the week? Tell me about what that was like and what that means to you and also to Baylor basketball.
Well, I think so much respect for the coaches that we've had in the Big 12 over the years, but I can tell you that in the last 4 or 5 years especially, the Big 12 coaches have really become a lot closer, and I think that's part of why we've been such a good conference is we respect and appreciate each other. And Coach Huggins asked for you to come on the show with him. It's an honor and privilege. He's a Hall of Fame coach, and I enjoyed my time with him. And one thing, we had a mutual friend, Coach Dan Peters, who was the head coach at Youngstown State, and he was an assistant for Coach Huggins. And when he was fighting through cancer and the last few months that he was alive, it was amazing just how, because I would always talk to Dan and see how he was doing. And Coach Huggins was unbelievable as far as being there for him as a friend, and it showed me a different side of him. And after that, I thought our relationship went to another level. And again, why your team gets better is iron sharpens iron. Same thing with coaches when you're 18 years in a league with a bunch of Hall of Fame coaches and the best college basketball in the last 6 out of 7 years, RPI wise, you get better, you improve. And I know when you play against people like Coach Huggins' teams, our guys get better because there's not going to be a team that's any tougher than them out there.
If, in fact, you woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning after beating Iowa State because you were like, oh, my God, what did you sleep last night? I know you don't sleep after losses, but did you ever fall asleep?
Hey, I would have taken 4 a.m. last night. so I'm not going to be very good at practice today. I can promise you that. Now, we're not going to do much, but I'm going to sleep well tonight. So, all right. But you know what? You wait 18 years to win a championship, you can stay up one night.
Yeah, you can, and enjoy that. Is this the ultimate, although there's other goals, as I mentioned, but is this like you guys talk about joy and those 3 words and what it means? Is this right now the ultimate of joy, in your opinion?
Definitely along this highway of, and what I mean is every year you start out with your goals, and I mean now we'll finish up the regular season, then we'll focus on the Big 12 conference tournament, and then obviously you'll focus on the NCAA tournament. But again, a regular season conference championship in the Big 12 and what that means to the Baylor family. To me, I love it when other people are happy and excited, and seeing their excitement brings a lot of joy to me. I can promise you that.
Is there any of you, and I'll close it with this, that says you're damn right we did this? You wouldn't say damn I did, but is there any part of you, Scott, that says, yeah, this is what I knew we could do. This is, hey, look at not me, but look at us.
Well, I think, we've been to Elite Eights and had chances to Sweet 16s, and we've been ranked number one. So I think our past players have already proved that we're a heck of a program. But I think when you win a conference title in the Big 12, and that was something we had not done as a program, and I know all the past players that had been here, that was a goal, and they helped move us in a step to this, and today they woke up as Big 12 champs, and I know they're excited about that. So definitely it'll be nice to put that Big 12 champs banner up in the Farrell Center, that's for sure. I wonder if it rushes digging that dirt to get that field house and arena done a little bit earlier, huh? Well, hopefully, again, at the end of the day, I know Mac and his administration, they've done a great job in working toward that, and that'll take our program to another level as far as atmosphere and excitement, and it'll be great for not only Baylor University but also Waco, the city, because our football stadium, I think, has helped take Waco to another level as well. Scott Drew, he's the head coach of the Big 12 champion Baylor Bears. Coach, thank you. Congratulations. Thank you, and thanks for all that you do. Appreciate you. This is SicEm365 Radio.
All right, that's Scott Drew this morning. Did not sleep, basically. I can't blame him. I know they got home late, about midnight. There was a nice crowd waiting for them, and so they are now doing whatever they can do today to get ready for Oklahoma State, because that game's barreling right down the pipeline as well. We'll be joined by CJ Moore here in a minute. He's available to us, athletic.com. And I'll tell you right now, CJ has done a great job covering not just the Big 12, but he's had some great stories. Remember the one about John Wachachua that he ran earlier this year, among others that he wrote? And CJ Moore joins us on SicEm365 Radio. CJ, what kind of a performance, how would you describe what Baylor did yesterday after what we saw Tuesday against Iowa State and Saturday against Kansas?
Oh, I think it was just Baylor being Baylor again, and getting back to the type of ball they were playing before the pause. And it was a great performance. It was an unbelievable college game. Two teams, the level of shot making going back and forth, you just don't see that in very many college basketball games. And it was a terrific performance by West Virginia, and a little bit better by Baylor. And it was a lot of fun to watch. And they sure got their Big 12 title in style.
Does this maybe put Baylor back? Michigan lost yesterday to Illinois, who's another really good team. Does this put Baylor back in the second overall spot in the country?
Yeah, that's just for knuckleheads like us to debate, right? Like, I don't think that matters that much. But in terms of like seeding for the NCAA tournament, I think it'll put Baylor in that number 2 spot probably, with Gonzaga probably still in the 1 just because Gonzaga hasn't lost a game. But all 3 of those teams are going to get number 1 seeds and have a great chance at making a Final Four and maybe winning a national championship.
CJ, what did you make of just Baylor, their energy level? It seemed like, obviously in their first 2 games back, it took them a little bit of time to knock that rust off. Do you think that was a team yesterday that is, more in line now to kind of hit that rhythm that they were in before the 3-week break they had to undergo?
Yeah, I think for certain. And the big thing you wanted to see, I think, out of Baylor before the postseason was just getting back to playing the way that they were playing before the pause. And, I go back to like that Texas game. I thought they played one of their best games this season in that one. And, the ball moved. It didn't stick. They played together. They played with the joy that they play with. And, I'm not sure in the first two games they quite had their rhythm. They weren't quite sharing it like they had been. So I thought they got back to doing more of that yesterday and to playing really smart basketball. And it was a great win. I mean, West Virginia was hot. I think the moment for me that stood out was you had McNeil throwing in just, he was on fire. And I think West Virginia got up to maybe I want to say about an 8-point lead during that stretch where he was just on fire. And that's a time in a game where, it can get away from you. It can feel like, man, no matter what we do, like this guy's just going to rise up and make another three. And I think Scott Drew took a timeout right there. They were down by about 8 and maybe 7. And then they went on their own run. And I thought that was as big a stretch right there as maybe they'll have all season, just to kind of get their swagger back and show that, hey, in a road environment against a really, really good team who's hot, we're capable of coming back and winning any game.
CJ, Paul, Craig, and I, we had a national columnist, Jeff Goodman, who wrote a story about Baylor and how they were built. And he talked about how it was one of the most favorite things he's ever done. And I know you know this team as well as anybody else. Do you get that same impression that, and I'm not, listen, we're SicEm365. I know you cover the Big 12 and Baylor, but did you get that same impression that this team is just awfully unique and so special? Not that others don't have camaraderie and chemistry, but this team is really something special.
Yeah, it's a really, really fun group to be around. I think there's a togetherness about them, and there's a work ethic that, there's a lot of kids out there that work hard in college basketball, right? But it just seems to be about, their culture that's become part of it. And they're fun. I thought, you watched like last night, the way Jared Butler runs on the floor after the game's over and he had fouled out, and the joy he has that his teammates were able to, finish it off. And you could just see it, right? You could just see it watching it. And it's like that being around those guys. They love each other. And it's definitely a really, really fun, special group.
Well, they've got Cade Cunningham coming up tomorrow, CJ, and that's it. They didn't get to see him the last time. How much are you looking forward to seeing that matchup with Cade Cunningham versus these guys?
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one because any time that Davion Mitchell gets to go up against a really elite guard, that's fun to watch. And I think that it'll probably be about as big a challenge for Cade. I was watching some tape today of Marcus Garrett on defense and him going up against Cade Cunningham. And, Cade is like, Marcus is a great defender, in the same kind of category as Davion. And Cade just doesn't get sped up. He stays really poised. He gets to his spots. So it'll be interesting to see, against a defense like Baylor, how he does, because it's really, really hard to shake that guy.
CJ, what did you make of Michigan's loss to Illinois last night?
Well, I still think Michigan's really, really good. Obviously, I was surprised by it. I didn't expect it coming because they've been playing at such a high level. But there's there's a handful of games every year for every team where they're just off. And they're just not right. And, maybe they don't bring the energy level right. That's what was surprising maybe is they just looked a little flat in a home game and a big, huge home game. Maybe Io, DeSumo not playing, let them relax a little bit. But over the long haul, am I worried about Michigan? No, I just look at it as one game, and I don't think there's too much reason to worry about. I still really like that roster and the way they play.
CJ, thank you very much, man. Appreciate what you do. Appreciate the coverage. Coach Drew even made a comment to me when I told him we had you on a little bit later on today that you've done a great job in promoting the Big 12, and not just promoting it, but writing about it, the stories, and also with what you've done to cover Baylor as well. Thanks for your time and have a great day.
That's kind of you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
That's CJ Moore, theathletic.com. I remember that story about John Wachachua. Paul, that was the one where it was a Saturday morning, and Jared Butler or whoever looked out his window, remember? And there's Jonathan down on the black court, basketball court, whatever, just working on his moves, and he's inside his apartment doing the same thing. It's 7 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, a college kid out there doing his thing, trying to work on something.
Yeah, by the way, Everyday John, and I don't know why I didn't notice this before, but he is about as sliced up a dude at 21 years old as I think you're ever going to see. I mean, he honestly looks like he came out of the side of a mountain.
like you just grizzle, right? Like chisel. Yeah.
I mean, it looked like if he had the only percentage of body fat on his body is like he ate a slice of bacon. He's got body fat until he burns it off.
Yeah, then for him that would be within a few seconds. Craig, I thought that was one of the keys yesterday. He didn't put up a lot, but he seemed to have, like Matthew Meyer, obviously had a huge game. But I keep wanting to go back to a possession that was a positive negative. They had 5 or 6 shots in one possession, long rebounds, tough rebounds. They kept missing shots, but that was the energy that you never saw when they played in Lawrence on Saturday, even though they missed 5 or 6 shots in a row.
We were saying, or I remember saying yesterday that, during a stretch when they were missing a bunch of those shots, you were commenting on that, and I was like, look, bottom line is I don't care about the pause they went on. I don't care about who's feeling how or whatever. They just had to go and find a way to win that game. And that's what they did. And that's what champions do. And that's why they're Big 12 champions. They could have lost that game and then put themselves in a situation where, here's red-hot Cade Cunningham. And you know what? Potentially lose that game. And then Texas Tech, who's very good. And, even if that's at home, still a dangerous game. So I'm just so relieved that people can actually enjoy it now. I don't think you could really enjoy it you'd enjoy it, but I don't think you'd enjoy it the same way if it would have taken place in the last game of the year. I think yesterday, just the environment, the setting, the team you played, especially with all the comments West Virginia fans have been making, you just went to their place and beat them in OT. So I just think it was an incredible victory. The setting was perfect. Everybody on the roster contributed, which is the story of this team. Because, we could talk for half an hour on Matthew Meyer. We could talk for 15 minutes on Chachua. We could talk about Jared Butler. We could talk about Davion Mitchell. We could go the entire roster. And that's why this team is who they are. So, just so thrilled for these guys. Glad they're going to be able to enjoy it for a little while, even though they do have to turn around tomorrow and play Oklahoma State. But at least that pressure's off their shoulders, and now they can just go play and Go win these last 2 games, go into the tournament, win that too, and then you'll see what happens in the rest of March and April.
If you missed our conversation with Scott Drew, he even admitted that it was starting to eat at him a little bit. The timeline, the clock ticking, another game, if they had not gotten this one in, it would almost be like a burden you could not handle. And so here they are. By the way, from Eric, who's listening on SicEm365.com, we appreciate it. He goes, here's what he said. He goes, guys, Eric, a Baylor alum living in Lubbock, you guys would love the gnashing of teeth on Tech Sports Radio. Most pundits thought we would not be the same as we were before the layoff based on last week. We aren't quite the same yet, but they do recognize now that even at 80, 90%, we're a handful for them coming up on Sunday. Sic'em. Oh, a lot of fan bases are pissed right now. They're so, it's crazy how Baylor seems to bring it's not Texas. Texas people kind of they're arrogant and people they want to beat them, but it's like everybody in the conference seems to hate Baylor. And I know they've had their issues, but it's because they're also winning in almost everything. They hate Baylor. It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny to me. I don't know.
People hate winners and turn around and say they don't matter, but then they spend 2 hours last night after the game complaining about all the reasons why West Virginia lost. So let losers be losers, and Baylor can celebrate their championship.
Hey, before we go to break, the most pathetic argument you can have for winning a conference title, in especially this year, is, but they did not play as many games as us. It's not fair. Guess what else is not fair? Getting a disease. that you have no control over.
They've
Y'all didn't
beaten
know that-
everybody in the conference. They've beaten every damn team they can play, and they didn't want to play anybody. They had Gonzaga. They had Villanova. These were teams on their schedule, for God's sakes, and they just won it in overtime at West Virginia, who's a damn good basketball team, and they shouldn't drop at all in the top 25 poll. When we come back, how about Jay Billis? We'll hear from Fran Fraschilla at 5. Jay Billis will join us. Pat Nunley, who got incredibly emotional at the end of the broadcast, been doing the broadcast. I got a quote from him as the game was winding down and ended. He'll join us at 4:20. Chuck Cooperstein, he was watching the game as well. He'll join us at 4:45. We have a lot to get to, and this is SicEm365 Radio. Ideal MRI located in the Central Texas marketplace, just off of I-35 in the southern part of Waco. You get on that access road that I think it says like Meridian exit, Loop 340 and Highway 6. I've been here over a decade, and I still don't know what those signs actually say, but I do know it says Loop 340 and Highway 6. And Ideal MRI is in the Central Texas marketplace, and it has its MRI machine. Its location is easy to get to. I've been there. I've been through the process of setting up an appointment. I've been through the process of having all of what you need if you have insurance to be cleared. So when you get there, then they have that ready for you. I've been through the process of getting there, going through all the sometimes can be forever wait, except not with Ideal MRI. IdealMRI.com. I was there, I want to think maybe 10 minutes before the Texas specialist brought me back to the next part of their office to kind of go over a couple of things with me. And next thing you know, you have to take your clothes, you get the robe on, and you get in the MRI machine. And it was fantastic. I can't remember her name, but the lady that was helping me to get me through that was fantastic. No issues. No claustrophobic that I've had before. No problems. It was simple and easy. And guess what also they do? They save you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars at Ideal MRI. Sometimes over $1,000, $1,500 or $2,000. Average MRI is $1,100. Theirs are $497 or less every time. Every time. No surprises later on. None of that $44.85 or $17 or $1,500. $497 or less every single time at IdealMRI.com.
We've sent the nomination forms to area high school counselors for the 11th annual Academic All-Stars team, and we will find 20 elite student athletes who excel in both academic and athletic competition from Central Texas high schools. Hello, everyone. This is David Smoak. Our title sponsor is Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952. The 2021 Academic All-Stars program is also brought to you by Westdale Asset Management, Englander Design Pack, Southwest Sports Medicine, Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Coca-Cola of Waco, Ray Broker Air Conditioning and Heating, Texas Sports Hall of Fame, HEB, the McLean Group, Universal Windows Direct, Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, and the Waco Foundation are 501c3. Nomination deadlines March 31st. We'll eventually announce the team on Monday, May 3rd. Honor them at our annual banquet on Wednesday, May the 19th. It's the 11th annual Academic All-Stars team highlighting the elite student athletes in Central Texas right here on SicEm365 Radio.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. Keeps me coming back. He cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. Last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new Lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
In the mid-range, he'll drive it and tie it up with 2 seconds remaining.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Jay Billis, preeminent college basketball analyst from ESPN, with us on SicEm365 Radio. Jay, what did you see with Baylor yesterday, and the guttiness and the toughness, and obviously a hell of a game with West Virginia to come back from their pause and win that Big 12 title?
Well, I think you saw, like you said, a very determined team, and I did their game against Kansas on Saturday, and I tried to say it in as nice a way as I could, without offending too many of the Kansas people, but Kansas played great, but that was not Baylor that played that game, and that was not the team we had seen throughout the course of the year. I thought last night was a little more like Baylor, but we're probably not going to see that team the way it was constructed and the way it had been playing for another game or two, given what they've been through.
What does this say overall with Scott Drew, with what he took over, when he took over, and here we are 18 years later? They've knocked on the door, but we know Kansas has run the conference, about what he's done to reconstruct this program in his time at Baylor.
Well, I don't even know if you call it a reconstruction. It's basically he built it from the studs. I don't know that there was a program further down and less relevant than Baylor when he got the job. I mean, he couldn't even be on television back then, if I remember right. Or they only play a conference schedule is an absurd situation to walk into. And he's slowly and methodically built it into one of the model programs, not only in college basketball but college sports. And it's one of the great American sports stories that we've seen in our lifetime. And to me, every time I go to Waco for a game, it's a great vibe around that program. And the players are great. The coaches are great. They compete hard. They've got a great sort of spirit about them, and they win. And the only thing that's kept Baylor from being, thought of among the very best programs by even the average fan has been the fact that they've been in the same league with Kansas, and Kansas has had one of the extraordinary runs in basketball history. So that's really the only difference. It would be like Paul Westphal just passed away recently and was a truly great player. He played at USC when I was a kid. I grew up in Los Angeles, and USC lost 2 games when he was there, 2, and they were to UCLA. And nobody really knew outside of Los Angeles how great those teams were because of the way way UCLA dominated things, and that's kind of the way I feel about Baylor over the years. Is it's been the extraordinary success. Like they've been number one, and yet, didn't win their league in certain years. That's how good Kansas has been.
Jay, when you first met Scott Drew, what did you think?
Well, I first met Scott when he was at Valpo, if you can believe that. I mean, back when I was getting going in broadcasting, I did Valpo games like in the during championship week, and so his dad was coaching there, and he was an assistant. That's how I got to meet him. And so, I mean, honestly, when he took the Baylor job, you're kind of looking at that going, "Are you nuts? Like, why would you do that? Why would you go into that?" That's the out. For most coaches, the outcome would have been negative there. What he's done has been truly extraordinary. And I think, to me, there have been two things that have made Waco into what it is now. One is Chip and Joanna Gaines, and the other is Scott Drew.
Yeah, and what he's done is, and they started out doing like reconstruction. I mentioned that word earlier. You're right. Reconstruction means there was something there in the first place, and what he took over, there was just basically nothing. What makes Baylor, in your opinion, a team? And obviously they're very good, and whether they can get to where they were before the pause remains to be seen. But we saw that a little bit yesterday. Are they in, without question, the discussion, in your opinion, truly a legitimate national championship Final Four contender? And is there a clump of 4, 6, 8, 12 teams that could possibly be a part of that conversation?
Well, no, they're in a trio of teams that are the best teams because they're the most consistent at the highest level. So Baylor can absolutely win the whole thing, but this isn't the first year we've said that. They've just got a better opportunity to do it this year because I think it's the best team he's ever had there. But he's had teams that could have won it before and reached a Final Four. He's reached Elite Eights and all that. They've knocked on the door. The one thing, there are a couple things I just don't know this year. One, we keep talking about basketball like it's football. It's not football. You can have the best team and get clipped in a game in the tournament. I promise you this is going to happen. If Gonzaga gets beat before the championship game, people are going to say, "See, I told you." It's the West Coast Conference. They're going to try to diminish it when they've had one of the great years. That happens in the tournament. It happens in basketball. And then the other thing that I'm a little bit at unease with is because of the pandemic, we didn't have a normal non-conference season. So there are a lot of quote-unquote little guys from smaller conferences that didn't get to show what they can do against the big shots. And I think I don't know from a mathematics standpoint how that's affected the metrics of this, but my guess is there are some better little guys out there than we realize. And we're probably going to get surprised when we shouldn't be by some of the teams that do well in the tournament that are not, power conference teams, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, Jay Billis with us on SicEm365 Radio. It makes a heck of a lot of sense because a lot of games, like you said, would have been a possibility of teams that could have caught the attention. Why is it a year all at one time with North Carolina, Duke, and Kentucky, and teams that are obviously, as much about them as anybody? Why are they all struggling at the same time?
Different reasons. Kentucky and Duke had the top recruiting classes in the country again, which they do every year. But recruiting classes are different. They had their top recruiting classes based upon volume of good players rather than having superior players like Zion Williamson or Anthony Davis or guys like that. So they don't have the true superstar talent that they've had in the past, and that's affected them. And their guards are really young, and they've played really young. I'm sure the pandemic had something to do with that, with their development, but it kind of, for those two programs, their players just aren't as good as they've been, and that's sort of hard to escape. And then Michigan State doesn't have a solidified point guard position. They lost Cassius Winston, and the guys they haven't been able to solidify things, and they've really struggled relative to what we expected. And Kansas has been, their recruiting got hurt by the FBI investigation. So they're good. And I think Baylor is significantly better, notwithstanding the result the other night, which I happen to think was pause related more than anything. Not that Kansas can't beat them without it, but that had to be part of the equation. And so all those things give you sort of a, blue blood deficit, if you will, where it looks like a different year in that regard, and I guess it is.
Now that Baylor's got the conference title, they had the long 3-week pause, and they didn't get to practice but once before Iowa State. How would you, if you were Scott Drew, manage Oklahoma State and then Texas Tech today or tomorrow and Sunday? Would you go full throttle to get back to, because you still have obviously work to do to get back to where you were, if you can get to that point?
I would do what it takes to be competitive in the game, but I would always have the longer view in mind. It's kind of like, if you're trying to, I think most people can relate to this. If you're trying to get in shape to run a marathon, you don't go out and run the marathon the first day of training. You ease yourself into it, and then you do different types of training. You do distance training and interval training and all things like that, and you make sure you're properly rested. There's still a marathon aspect to this. There's a long way to go in the season, even though it feels like we're at the end. So I don't think there needs to be a sense of urgency that we have to get back to who we are right now.
Right.
They don't. They're in the tournament, and they're going to be I can't imagine a scenario, David, where they're not going to be a number one seed. I just can't imagine it. Even if they lose a game or two, they're still going to be a number one seed. Look who they're competing with. Some of these other teams have lost 6 games that we're talking about on the one line. Baylor's not going to be off the one line. And so, Scott's way smarter than me on this stuff. He's not going to take his eye off the prize here. He gets it.
Did you ever think College Game Day or your broadcast career would be what it has become? And obviously you work very hard at what you do. Did you ever expect it to explode the way it has?
Heck no. I started doing this because I thought it would be fun. Like I thought I was going to stay in coaching when I was a grad assistant at Duke. And when my wife and I got married, we kind of decided what the best thing was for our family life, and coaching wasn't it. So it was the best thing I could do next to coaching to be in basketball. And so I've enjoyed the hell out of it. I didn't think of myself as a broadcaster at first. I thought myself as a basketball guy that was just sitting there watching a game and telling people what I think. So it's been fun. I mean, that's been the best part of it for me is it's something I love doing, and I get a chance to do it with people that are amazing pros and wonderful teammates and colleagues. And I get to go to different games around the country, whether it's in Waco or Lawrence or, Durham or Los Angeles, wherever. And when the game's over, I get to go out and have a drink, and I never lose. It's fantastic.
Keep doing what you're doing, and I love, what was it this morning? Top down, day sunny, still got a pocket full of yesterday's money. Every day rain, snow, sunny. That's why I hustle nonstop. I want all the money. I got to go to work. You throw these things out. Does that just come off the top of your head, Jay?
Hell no, those are Jeezy lyrics.
Okay.
Hip-hop artists I listen
I'm too old to know all those lyrics. I'm 61, so okay. Hey,
I'm too dumb to remember them.
Jay, thank you so much, man. Great to have you on. Jay Billis of ESPN, college basketball analyst on SicEm365 Radio.
Look, I know that the mask mandate's lifted and we're 100% open in Texas, but COVID-19 testing is still going to be a part of our lives for the foreseeable future, and you're going to need it. And if you need a mass test, if you need multiple people to get tested in your office, your dorm, your school, whatever, Impact Health Labs is who you need to go to. ImpactHealthLabs.com. 3 military-trained medical professionals found at Impact Health Labs. What do? They come to your place, do the test there. The cost low because they take most major forms of insurance, and they get it back to you within 24 hours or so, depending on when the test. Do the test get back to the lab. But within the next day, you'll find out if you have COVID or not, so you're not waiting around for days at a time to figure it out. And what kind of tests are these? There's not the antigen tests, the ones that kick back a bunch of false positives or negatives that teams have had so much trouble with. These are the PCR tests, the swab all the way up, pretty much into your brain. But they are accurate. They are fast. They get them done right. They get them done to you, so you know what you need to do to prepare for the next steps if you have COVID-19. So if you need mass COVID testing for your workplace, school, whatever, ImpactHealthLabs.com. That's ImpactHealthLabs.com.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trust the doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
During the President's Day event, Allen Samuels has special pricing on a new 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited with values up to $3,250 or 0% for 72 months, plus $1,000 in combo cash. Or a 2021 Jeep Cherokee. The new Latitude Plus has up to $6,000 in total values or 0% interest for 72 months and $1,250 in combo cash. Allen Samuels award-winning customer service. The best place to find your next SUV. Located at 201 West Loop 340. Allen Samuels is your friend in the car business. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Waco's newest gym, Halo Athletic Center, 5725 Bagby Avenue, right behind Region 12 and across the highway from the Central Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, Bod Pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof, where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change, your change.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
You know, we were trying to broadcast this show yesterday as Baylor was playing yesterday, and of course at times you just saw all three of us. At least I admit it. I mean, I'm like, it's like watching I couldn't keep my mind off of the game, and we went back and forth on that. But then imagine a former player like we have with King McClure, and imagine being a former player who's been doing this for a long time and watching Baylor basketball through its ups and downs in Pat Nunley and the emotions of Pat Nunley. You could hear him. I saw a clip today on Twitter. I've been waiting around for this to live this for 40 years since he got into broadcasting. Pat Nunley joins us on SicEm365 Radio. Have you come down from your magic carpet ride?
No, absolutely not. And I couldn't come down if I wanted to, Smokey. It's a terrific day. I've spent an entire broadcasting career with Baylor waiting for that day, waiting for that moment, really. And when it hit, man, it was like a tidal wave. I thought I could control my emotions. I was dead wrong. I just couldn't do it. And it's been an even better day today, just reflecting on milestones along the way and people who would have loved this moment and who had a hand in it. Frank Fallon, Heath Nielsen, Nick Jost, and the list goes on and on. So it's been a wonderful day.
Pat, this Coach Drew run has been, this is not 5 years that it took to do this. This is 17 years of building this program and doing it his way and never falling off of a path. It's pretty rare in college basketball to see something like this, a team have to wait 17 years to win a conference title and everybody, and no one feels like that took too long.
Well, I remember Paul when his press conference when he was announced as the new head coach, and he talked about winning the Big 12 and going to the Final Four, and there was laughter in the room, giggles, really. And you think about at that time, we were dysfunctional as a program, and we were so dysfunctional we couldn't even dream. And what he did was allow us to dream, and he created a vision for what success was going to look like. And it was success beyond anything we had ever even imagined. And we went from hoping that would happen to believing it would happen to now it's happened. And that is, in fact, I got a tweet, you guys may have seen it, from Steph Davis that said, what Scott Drew has done at Baylor is the best rebuilding job in the history of sports. Tell me one that's better. That says it all. It really does.
Pat, what did you think of just the way that the team played as far as their energy level? Their offense, had a bit of a struggle at times, but, compared to the way we saw them play the first two games back after that pause, did that feel like more of the Baylor team you were used to seeing all year?
It did. They're still not 100%, I don't think. In fact, there were some plays on our defensive end of the floor that just weren't Baylor defense plays. How many times have you seen a guy isolate on Davion Mitchell and back him down into the low post and score on him? That just does not happen. And so they're not there. They gave up 89 points, and there was a time in that game where they could not get stops. So they've got work to do there, and I think it's really a product of just getting their sea legs back. I don't think they're completely back yet. But what I saw and what you all have seen all season long is a toughness. These are tough dudes. They know how to win. And when a game gets to winning time, they're able to find a way to do it. And they've got 5-6 guys that can take over control of a game at any time. You saw that last night with Matt Meyer. He scored 8 in a row, and they were critical. You saw Jared Butler. Jared Butler goes out. Davion Mitchell right after that kind of steps into his shoes and gets a shot at the rim. Big one. Mark Vidal was Mark Vidal. Flagler. Those guys have just a level of confidence and toughness that I think is really going to serve them well. That's what I saw last night. They're not 100%, but the mental toughness of this team is off the charts.
Pat, I just thought, and I asked Matthew Meyer this in the post game, did, because of how they play against Kansas, make what they did yesterday, having to wait an extra couple of days, you think even more special, not just for them, but for anyone who've been waiting for this moment because of how it got a little bit edgy, a little bit of a burden, a little bit concerning?
Yeah. You look down the road after Iowa State, which was a gigantic win, by the way, and you've got 4 top 20s. And in that mix, you got number 5 in the coaches poll, I think it was, and 5 or 6, whatever, against West Virginia on the road. And so we've got a lot left to do. And you look down and you're going, man, we better get back in a hurry because those are 4 tough games. So after Kansas, I just completely chalked that one up to COVID because the things that we didn't do well, we did horribly. And that's just not Baylor basketball. Got pounded on the glass, made 6 of 26 threes. And this is the best three-point shooting team in the nation. Made 6 of 16 at the line, couldn't get stops. So that was, I believe, completely COVID-related. And the step last night was a big step towards getting going. And Smokey, you mentioned the interview with Meyer. He talked about resetting. They got a reset now, and I think that really sums it up well. I think they're back on it now. Got a little bit of work to do, but they're close to where they were before that 3-week layoff.
How much, obviously Scott has been the master of the transfer portal, but how much has the fact that they have kind of, and a lot of schools are like this, they've stopped the rat race with going after one and dones, and Scott has built his team. He knows he's best off having veterans, changed the trajectory of Scott Drew from being a team that's going to be a Sweet 16 team every couple of years to being a team that really is built for the long term?
Yeah, I think that this year in particular has been a major part of their success. They are experienced. They are confident. They've all been through tough games like last night. They never lose their poise. They never flinch. And that's a product of five-year guy, Mark Vidal. Other guys, Maceo Teague, that guy may be 23 years old. Guys that have been in the program, and a number of guys like Teague, like Mitchell, and a few others, Chachua, who took a year off and just got better and older and stronger. And I think that is, in my mind, the hallmark of this team. They never flinch. And it's a product of experience and savvy and maturity that a lot of teams just don't have.
Pat, what did you think of just the way this team has been able to love each other and the teammates, the chemistry that they have, the way that's developed? I think that probably is just assumed by people that that's just something that naturally occurs, but there's a lot of work that goes into that, especially when you have a lot of players who have decisions like they did last year that they could have gone ahead and left. Just how has Scott Drew and his coaching staff, who deserve a lot of credit, been able to build the chemistry that they have that seems very unique to them, and not every program has that?
Yeah, well, Scott started day one, and there are a lot of coaches along the way that helped him do this, but I think he understood they had to create a culture that was so strong that they would maintain it even if it created a competitive disadvantage for them to do so. For example, it's a small example, but they don't curse. And that doesn't mean they never curse, but the culture of the program is they watch their language. Well, you think about it, there are kids that might not want to come here for that reason. That I don't think has really been the case, but that's just a part of their culture that has now morphed into a culture of joy. Jesus, others, you. And you hear those guys talk about that stuff. It's go 1-0 every day. Every one of those players talks about that. So it's a culture that they've all bought into, and it has bonded them and has created that chemistry where they love one another. They truly do. They push one another. They compete. They hold each other accountable. But you think about it. I say this a lot. If you could bottle what Scott Drew has been able to do in creating a culture, a vision for success, all that stuff, and sell it to corporate America, you can make a lot of money. There are companies out there trying to do that right now and struggle with it. And somehow Baylor basketball's figured it out, and they live it out.
Pat, what was your thoughts the first time you ever met Scott Drew?
That is a great question. I didn't know who he was. I knew of Homer Drew. In fact, I was talking to a guy last night. We went to the airport and welcomed him back. And this guy was on the committee that hired Scott Drew. And, I asked him, I said, what did you think? Because I didn't know him. He said at that time, and I remember, he said, you just wait. This guy is something special. And he's perfect for us. He was perfect for us at the time. He was exactly what this program needed. And so I don't know what I really thought. We'd gone from Dave Bliss to Scott Drew, a really high-profile, very successful college coach, to a guy that was a big question mark. And so I think that's what I thought about him. I loved him. How do you not love him? But I thought, well, okay, let's see. Let's see where we go. And we knew it was going to be a long process. but it happened a lot quicker than we thought it would. I mean, 5 years down the road, we're in the NCAA tournament for the first time in 20 years. So I liked him a lot, but man, I didn't know. I just didn't know.
Does it seem like 100 years ago that everybody used to say, I mean, outside of Waco, and maybe sometimes he had some fans that thought so, that he's a good motivator, but he doesn't know X's and O's.
Yeah, and that, I tell you, that is so tired. And I love that now the jury is way in on that, and I think it has been for a while. And I think you can ask other coaches across the league, and they would tell you this guy is the real deal. And that's not a new thing. But it took him a long time to get the recognition he deserved. I remember one year, I think it was 2010, we're picked to finish 10th in the league. We finished third, and we go to the Elite Eight, and he doesn't even get a sniff at Big 12 Coach of the Year. And I think at that point we all went, whatever, that doesn't matter. We're just going to continue to get better and better. But he has now, maybe at a national level, certainly has gotten the respect of people who have viewed him that way, and they certainly did. Great recruiter, but can't do anything with it. That is so wrong, and I've just seen it. And now last night, that's the cherry, on the cake. I mean, there's just no doubt.
Craig, anything else for Pat?
Nope.
Pat, they have Oklahoma State. Oh, congratulations. And now you play maybe the hottest team in the Big 12. And can you imagine the difference? Almost like when you miss a putt to win a hole or to take the lead. You get that feeling like, oh, my God. Can you imagine the feeling right now had they not won yesterday in Oklahoma State with Cade Cunningham coming off the sweep of Oklahoma and one of the hot teams in the Big 12, how the burden, the stress, the anxiety that might be there?
Oh, that's a terrific point. Absolutely. And so last night just gets them reset, gets them the championship that has been so elusive for so many years. We've come close, but we've never won it. And, we talk a lot. If you're going to be the champ, you got to beat the champ. They did it. And here they are. But I think it does reset them and gives them a level of confidence that they didn't have. And I think they're better than Oklahoma State. Cade Cunningham is a special player, no doubt. And he didn't play the first game between these two teams, but Baylor is better. And I think now with that kind of that monkey off their back, and this is just Nunley on Baylor basketball, I think they're about to roll.
Hey, why not, right? I was asked today on the Big 12 Radio Network, can Baylor win the national championship? And, I started thinking, we never got to see them finish last year. And then for them to come back was a lot easier said than done. And why not? I know that they could lose in the first, second, fourth round, whatever, but why not? I mean, these guys are really good, and maybe the perseverance and resiliency they've shown, maybe it does take it to another level. They could still lose tomorrow night, but I do think that, boy, I was impressed with what they did. I was impressed they won the Iowa State game, considering they were down 17 at one point.
Yeah. Well, I heard an interview, Scott Drew and Mark Few. I'm not sure who conducted it. But Coach Few made a good point. He said, all this national championship or bust stuff, he said, people don't understand what has to happen to win a national championship. And so, winning the Big 12, in my mind, was the big one. I think they had to get one at some point, and they got it. They were predicted to do it, and they did it. That's the big one. Now, what happens from this point forward, I'm not sure. You got to get hot. You got to win 6 in a row. They can do it. They absolutely can do it. Does it happen? I'm not sure, but they're as capable as anybody else in the country to go do it. And I think now they might be thinking about that. Now, having said that, what I say earlier about culture, it's 1-0 every day, 1-0, and they are totally bought into that, and I believe it. And if that's their approach, they're gonna do fine.
I know you were busy up until 4. We have Chuck Cooperstein coming up next, Fran Priscilla at 5, Carol Dawson at 5:20. The moment in West Virginia, apparently Bob Huggins has a talk show that he does on Monday, and he actually reached out to Coach Drew to bring him on his show the night before they played. And there's a common denominator, a friend about somebody who had gone through cancer, that they got to know each other, Bob Huggins and Scott Drew. Isn't that also kind of what you were talking about, how his people have now accepted him with open arms? Because that's a Hall of Fame type of guy, and Bob Huggins, who knows that's respect, I think, vice versa between the two.
Yeah, and Bob Huggins doesn't just give respect away. You've got to earn it. And so, he's a guy that now, and I say now, I don't know for sure when this happened, he's a believer. I mean, we played a little bit of that back and forth, Scott and Coach Huggins, on his talk show. And he said to Scott on the air, I don't think anybody could have done what you have done at Baylor. And I mean that. He does mean it. So when you get the respect of Bob Huggins, you're there. And I think that respect has been there for a while, but it was nice to hear him say it.
Pat, thank you very much. Congratulations on enjoying that magic carpet ride, and hope you have more to come. Thank you so much, Pat Munley, former Baylor guard, also a broadcast color analyst for Radio Baylor, Learfield, and IMG, with us on SicEm365 Radio, and a listener of our show throughout the day. Now, coming up next, Chuck Cooperstein. Yeah, he does. He's the voice of the Mavericks. But he was watching that game yesterday, and nobody is as knowledgeable when it comes to sports overall than he is. Chuck Cooperstein next on SicEm365 Radio.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, a hidden gem in Waco, Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street. Look, if you're looking for craft beer, there's not a better place to go in Waco when you talk about variety. They got this walk-in fridge. You go in there and rotate it through the seasons, and they've got pretty much what you need. And look, if they don't, I guarantee if you ask them, like, hey, what's the deal? They'll tell you whether they can get it or when they can get it or why, it would be impossible based on distributorships. But that's impossible to get for Riverbend Liquor and Wine. It's a pretty small little window. They have such great variety when it comes to craft beer, like I said. Wine, spirits, unbelievable. They always have the latest Balcones releases out as well. Really a fantastic place. Great customer service. A drive-through window that kind of runs with a Chick-fil-A like speed. So you're not going to have to wait a long time. If you drove up there and saw 4 cars, believe me, you just got there when 4 cars pulled up at the same time, because they'll move them out quickly and you'll be on your way. Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Find out.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingram with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio app is sponsored by Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
He is the voice of the Mavericks, Chuck Cooperstein, who also, as I've said many, many times before, is knowledgeable across the board with all the various sports as anyone I can imagine. I loved one of the things he said yesterday. We need to see this game next week in KC, and if it happens sometime again in Indianapolis, I'd be cool with that too. He was discussing Mavericks and Mountaineers, the Baylor Bears and Mountaineers. And Chuck Cooperstein joins us now on SicEm365 Radio. Chuck, how much fun was that just to watch the game as someone who loves the game like you do?
It's a great game. And, especially because there have just not been very many watchable college basketball games this year. Really, I think the quality of play overall has been quite poor outside of the Big 12 and the Big 10. But even within the league, a lot of games, even the Oklahoma State-Texas game that went to overtime, it was a terrible game. It was a terrible game that had a really frantic finish and really cool stuff attached to that. But this game, with 2 top 6 teams, were punch, counterpunch. Both were sent for loops. And I thought even the officiating was as outstanding as the play on the floor was too, which I know will probably surprise many. Because officials are the easiest ones to bash, but there were some really difficult calls late in the game that wound up that were called absolutely correctly, and it just added to the experience. And again, David, there are a lot of games in the Big 12 among really those top 7 teams that you could say, you know what, I want to see that game in Kansas City, and I wouldn't be surprised if I saw that game sometime in Indianapolis in mid to late March.
Chuck just said something that most Big 12 fans will never say, that there was great officiating in a game. Chuck, don't you know that officials are bad even when they're good, and even when my team wins, they're always bad? They're evil.
Absolutely, of course. But you had at the very least working that game, Rick Crawford and Roger Ayers, who probably is the best college official working today, and Bert Smith, who I know was in the midst of controversy earlier in the season in a Texas Tech game. I want to say it might have been a Texas game. I'm pretty sure that was the one. But these guys are all Elite 8, Final 4 good. And they work to that level just as the teams play to that level and the coaches coach to that level.
Craig, you're muted.
Don't know if he is or not. I don't think he is.
Hello? I'm here.
Yep.
I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, Chuck, I'm sorry. The way that Baylor has battled through this 21-day delay, which a lot of people, of course, we know social media can be evil, but that it's not 21 days where they were just sitting around practicing. It was 20 days where they didn't do anything. And the way they looked last week and then how they looked like they got their legs back yesterday, how much of that resiliency and also perseverance can carry over even though they have still a sledgehammer schedule ahead of them?
Oh, I look, they were pretty bad against a bad Iowa State team. They were pretty bad against a Kansas team that looks like it's finding its legs here late in the season. And then to be able to go on the road and play the game that they played, they got off to a great start, and then they got hit in the mouth, and they got back up, and they fought. And, the basket that, that was made to put the game in overtime, which was a really... I was just so surprised that there was so little resistance for Jared to get all the way to the rim, and he did. Good for him for doing that. But I just love the way they played, and I've loved their team all year. I think we all want to see them play Gonzaga, and maybe that'll be on the final night on April 5th, and it would be a phenomenal game if it actually comes to pass. But I think they're going to have a hell of a road getting here because I have a feeling there are going to be a bunch of Big 12 and Big 10 teams that they're going to probably wind up facing before they even get the opportunity to play that game. But they're capable. They're more than capable. And I think it speaks, David, to the idea that, the new paradigm for college basketball, and maybe even, college football is going to follow suit here, is to get old and stay old. That even unless you've got a freshman like Kate Cunningham who's unbelievably special, you're almost better off, recruiting, 3-star guys, developing them, and then supplementing them with transfers, whether they be from, D1 schools or junior college or whatever, because that seems to be what's working right now as opposed to the one and done. And certainly, watching the likes of Duke and Kansas and Kentucky struggle the way they struggled this year, it probably brings that point home a little bit more.
Craig, you got a question for Chuck? We lost you there for a second.
Yeah, Chuck, there was a lot of Twitter conversation going on yesterday about Scott Drew, and I forget who originally posted it, but they were talking about, him being the head of one of the greatest rebuild jobs ever. Bill Snyder was quickly mentioned by a lot of people, and there were a lot of other, very worthy guys that were mentioned. But how do you kind of put Scott Drew's rebuild job of Baylor, given where they started when he walked in perspective?
Well, it really is amazing. But at the same time, he has been able to, at first, when he recruited Tweety Carter, that was the first really major high-end national recruit that came to Baylor. And then, they went to the Elite Eight. They had a chance to win. I mean, they took Duke all the way to the wire there in Houston and gave them a heck of a game. 2 years later, they go against Kentucky and they're in the Elite Eight again. So, I mean, he was able to build it. And fortunately, look, the administration, I think, had a pretty good understanding of what was being undertaken here and gave him the time to go ahead and do it. And, you don't see that very much anymore. Right? Frankly, if Scott was trying to do this today under those circumstances, I don't know that he would have gotten all the time to try to get to where this program is now. But, good on Baylor for doing that, and good on Scott Drew, who had, at times I think people wondered about how was he getting those players? How is this program getting that caliber of player? And now, people look and see, especially his work with the zone defense, and now he's gotten away from that a little because he's got better athletes, and so he can play, plays man-to-man almost all the time. They see what a great coach he is, and what a phenomenal coach he is, and what a job he's done, not just year to year with his team, but the program that he's built and the expectation, that follows from year to year, not from the fans, but from the players who come into the program. They know what's happened before, and they want to keep the thing going.
Chuck, you mentioned about getting old and staying old and building a veteran team. Are the NBA rules now, especially the ones that are going to come through the next collective bargaining agreement, going to allow that to maybe foster a little bit now that guys can just go straight to the G League? And there'll be a couple of one-and-dones, but it won't be as blatant as it has been in the past.
The NBA will always look for young. Okay, that's they're always looking for upside, especially at the top of the draft, more than productivity, which is why 19-year-olds get drafted before 21-year-olds, which is like why a guy like Jalen Brunson, who probably should have been a lottery pick as the Wooden Award winner and the Naismith Award winner and a two-time national champion, should have been picked a lot higher than he was in 2018. But that's just not the way the NBA draft works. But having said that, I mean, look, in the draft coming up this year, you're going to have at least two kids playing for G League Ignite, Jalen Green and Jonathan Kuminga, who would have gone to Texas Tech had he decided not to do that, who are going to be top 5 picks. I think you will still see young, but if the goal is to win a Big 12 championship, to win an NCAA championship, and I think we've even seen that, even through the one and done era. I mean, again, John Calipari's had some really good teams, but ultimately, how many plaques has he raised? How many times has he cut down the nets? He's cut it down once at Kentucky, right? How many times has Mike Krzyzewski's cut it down? But he's cut it down once, over the last decade. So you get the attention of playing for programs like Kentucky and Duke, and you're on TV all the time, and that that there is a marketing aspect to that can't be ignored. But if the goal of the program is to win conference championships and win national championships, I think we've seen that talent matters, but experience matters just as much, if not more.
Chuck, I know you got a game tonight, Oklahoma City, and the Mavericks. Luka is doubtful. That right? I saw a note about that earlier. Not sure what's going on with that, but they are getting a lot into a nice rhythm here. They've won 8 of 10. They have a big hole to dig out of, but they're now above 500, which to me, I've always said this even in baseball. You might be 10 games back, but get your record above 500. It will take care of itself. And, of course, the Western Conference is so competitive. Why are they playing better? Why are they starting to dig themselves out of what was a big hole?
Well, I think Rick Carlisle might have said it best after the game on Monday night. He said, we're a pretty good team when we don't have COVID issues. And COVID killed this team basically from January 15th through February 6th. I mean, that's pretty, when you lose 4 major rotation players for 9 to 11 games, I mean, you're going to struggle. It'd be one thing if they were end of the bench guys, but they weren't, and so. You're playing end of the bench guys, and we always talk about, it's be ready and next man up. Well, you know what? I mean, there's a reason why those guys were playing. Those other guys weren't playing as much. And when you force them to have to play more minutes, you run into difficulty, and then throw the difficulty of the schedule. I mean, you had a couple of games with Utah playing at the top of its game on the road. You had a couple of games with Phoenix that you probably should have won, and you didn't win. I mean, you had a 15-point lead in both of those games, and you didn't win. I mean, all of a sudden, those add up. But fortunately for them, they've gotten their act together, and the other teams certainly around them. I mean, if you look at spots 5 through 10 in the Western Conference, the difference is 2 games between 5 and 10. So it's just going to be absolute madness over the last 38 games of the season for Dallas to see where they wind up. I mean, it looks like the first 4 spots are pretty well established, but 5 through 10 very much up in the air. And obviously, with the play-in situation being what it is, you want to finish in the top 6. So you don't even have to worry about playing in a play-in situation and not even qualifying for playoffs.
Coop, man, we appreciate the time you give us. You've given us your segment a lot, and we appreciate you. Good luck tonight with the broadcast. I saw the comment from one of the listeners about how the via Bluetooth and being able to watch or listen to what you're doing, the sound bar, and then you responded to him. Appreciate your time. Good luck tonight with the broadcast, and have a great week.
Thanks a lot, David. Thanks, Craig. Thanks, Paul. Thanks to all of you at Sic'em. Always a pleasure to be on with you.
Chuck Cooperstein, voice of the Mavericks, with us at Coop Mavs on Twitter, and breaking down, watching Baylor, West Virginia, and what Baylor has going ahead from this point forward as well. The 5 o'clock hour includes Fran Fraschilla. I think he might know Baylor as much as pretty much everybody. And then Carol Dawson, who played in the late 50s, early 60s at Baylor, coached him in the 70s. What does it mean to someone like him from back in the day, near when they won their last conference championship in 1950? Plus John McClain, Sic'Em365, right? He can't wait to talk about that. Yesterday, we bumped him because of the game and a couple of guests that we had. This is SicEm365 Radio. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat has right now incentives on 3 different brands of cars. First of all, Ram Truck Month. Repeat winner of Motor Trend's Truck of the Year back-to-back years. 1,500, 2,500, the big 3,500 available. The top safety pick for trucks named in 2021. The Dodge Performance Days event in March. You're going to want to check out the new Dodge lineup, the first domestic brand ranked highest overall in J.D. Power's initial quality study, built for performance, touch screen technology, superior craftsmanship, advanced safety features. It's time to take a test drive with the Dodge Performance Days in March. And the Jeep Celebration event, the most decorated SUVs available, built tough as nails. And oh, by the way, there's the Renegade, the Jeep Grand Cherokee, the Cherokee Latitude, plus many others, and they have the Wrangler as well. The Jeep Wrangler and more. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. It's Ram Truck Month, Dodge Performance Days, and Jeep Celebration throughout the month of March on Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. And a long distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The time's going to run out on the Mountaineers. What a win for Baylor. Welcome back to the Baylor Bears. They are the champions in the regular season of the Big 12. And as we said, it is their first conference championship in 71 years. You think Scott Drew knows it?
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Ben Erlinson, who'll navigate you through today's financial climate. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
ESPN college basketball analyst Fran Fraschilla. Fran, thank you, first of all, for being on SicEm365 Radio. You have seen it, you have watched it, you have felt it. What do you think yesterday meant to Baylor?
Amazing emotions. Watching, the exciting thing for me was not just the game, which was one of the games of the year. Thought both teams played great, Smoke. I just thought the emotion after the game, the celebration, the hugging, the crying, the praying, was really, really cool. Knowing Baylor basketball through the last 18 years, knowing how much work that Coach Drew and his staff put in, all the former players, going back to Curtis Geralds and Aaron Bruce and those guys, they were all a part of this. I think that's the only way you could describe it. This was built brick by brick. This foundation of an incredible program with now a Big 12 title was built brick by brick over 18 years with a lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of great players, great coaches, and it was fun to see. And it's only the beginning because we have more Baylor basketball headed our way, over the next couple weeks.
Do you feel like it even made it more special because of what they dealt with and then how they played last week on Tuesday and Saturday, and it kind of looked like, oh my goodness, will they ever get back? And then they kind of had a little bit of that oomph, even though they still have a long way to go to get all of it back. Do you think that even made it more special, the gutty type of game? That was a great basketball game, no matter who it was. Yeah.
Well, listen, you probably heard me say a number of times in the first half, this team is still not back.
Right.
They're not in sync, and you can, they hit some shots early. They got that, 21-12 lead. But, knowing Baylor, watching them play, I just didn't think they would get it all the way back. And by the way, I wasn't trying to, and I'm just going to be blunt, I wasn't trying to denigrate Kansas's win on Saturday because they're playing really well. But every one of the teams in the league that are going to the NCAA tournament would have beaten Baylor on Saturday. I have no doubt in my mind. If they'd have gone to Texas Tech Saturday or Oklahoma State, I think the same fate would have befell this team. But they gradually got it back, and in this game yesterday. And I'll tell you, I was texting with Coach Drew this morning. I thought the absolute key part of that game, it's so ironic that I thought the key moments of the game were the Matt Meyer threes. Because those of us who've watched Matt Meyer the way you and I have over 3 years know that, I'm going to say this in a complimentary way, he's got no conscience. He's got no fear. You know what I mean? And for him to hit those two shots, it was almost like letting his teammates know, come on, man, let's just get back to who we are. And I thought that was a turning point, honestly.
Yeah, he scored 10 consecutive points, and he hit a couple of threes, and he had the I'm telling you, I've called him like Team Prilosec or something like that for,
Yeah.
He is so dripping with talent, but at times, because against Kansas, like a lot of them, they didn't play well. He played 5 minutes, and when he shows that he has a little bit of that back as well. So how would you, if you were Scott, and I asked him this earlier today, how do you manage, now that you have this, you still want more. You still have to get back to where you were at a high level. What do you do? How do you handle these last two games?
Well, it's a good question. By the way, he and I talked about this over the weekend. I think people know that we're good friends, and I'm not the only guy that I talk basketball with that's still coaching. The guys that are coaching to call me, but I'm not sure, honestly. I don't know. Smoak, I coached for 23 years, but never in once a century pandemic. That did not happen during my coaching career. So I don't really know. I'm going to go down tomorrow night to watch as a fan just to get ready for the Big 12 tournament. And especially because Kate Cunningham's so much fun to watch. But I think these next two games give them a chance to kind of ease back in. They're going to try to win, there's no doubt. I think there's no pressure now. And I think Coach will probably figure out the right thing, like how much. I don't think they can do much at practice today, obviously. Probably on Friday there's not going to be much they can do at practice. So they can use these games to continue to get sharp, and then they'll have they play Sunday. So I think they can use these games to stay sharp, but more importantly, stay healthy, rested, and hopefully build a little bit of momentum going into next week. But the first hurdle's been cleared, and obviously a hurdle that hasn't been cleared in 71 years is another one of those things that can be checked. The box can be checked off.
You made a comment, and you've been saying many things for a long time about Mark Vital, and you put up a tweet last night following the game. And honestly, you know what? After your tweet a month or so ago, he's actually been playing at a high level that you expect. And I know you guys are incredibly close. When you think about what they've done, and he's had a lot to do with it, he can put his team on his back with his energy and his physicality. When you think of Mark Vital, isn't that what college basketball should be about?
Well, it's funny. I discovered this, and I said it last night. He committed to Baylor in September of 2013. Think about that for a second. Put that in perspective. If you remember, he was a sophomore in high school. The very beginning of sophomore year, he committed to Baylor. So he's been in the mindset of Baylor fans, obviously the coaches, since 2013. And if anybody deserves this, a chance to have a championship ring, it's Mark Vital, because he has he's weathered the storm. He's been a 5-year guy. He's really been an 8-year guy because he committed really early. And obviously it takes a team of great competitors to win a title, and a lot of guys deserve credit for this team, the coaches, players. But it's fun to see Mark make some of those hustle plays he did yesterday, because that's kind of pretty much emblematic of his whole career. So, as I said, Smoak, no Vital, no title.
Yeah, that's exactly what you said. Is this, in your opinion, as good a job of anybody who has completely just redone a basketball program?
Well, I got into this Twitter war. Not a war, I say that jokingly. I think, and I will split hairs here, I think the greatest football rebuilding job in history was Coach Snyder up at K-State.
I agree.
And I think that equally as incredible is I think this is the greatest rebuilding job in college basketball history, all things considered. We be a good argument, be a good to drink a couple iced teas. I don't drink, so it wouldn't be if we went down to George's, I'd probably order some crazy wings, but and an unsweet tea. I might actually do that tomorrow. But we can discuss like who's in the mix, whether it's John Thompson at Georgetown, Lute Olson at Arizona. But I don't think there's anything that's been done like this over 18 years. I just don't think so. So as I texted Coach Drew this morning, I still think you're an idiot for taking a job, but he proved all of us wrong 18 years later.
Well, last question. Do you see now enough from what you saw in Morgantown, knowing who they have left and what might be next week, that they at least appear to be on their way back to where they need to be able to compete in the NCAA tournament to make a deep run? Do you see kind of that glimmer of that fire that we saw for a long time?
Yeah, because I think the only issue is whether they would have time to get it all back, and I think they do. Whether they rest guys Thursday and Sunday, how seriously they take the tournament in Kansas City, which I think they're going to take seriously, honestly. Why not win it if you're going to play in it? But yes, I think that time is on their side now, because I think by the time they get to Indianapolis, remember, the likelihood is the first few games they're going to be a heavy favorite. So they can have an off night and go, 5 for 19 and still beat the teams they'll play in the early round. So I do think that they are certainly on the road to being back to the team they were, the first 17 games. I would expect that. quite frankly. And also, given the fact that they have great leadership from their coach, that they'll figure out the best way possible to get back to where they were.
I don't know of anyone who would know Baylor men's basketball and Coach Drew as well as you do. Fran, thanks for being a part of it on a day when we're going to have kind of a celebration for what Baylor's accomplished.
Always a pleasure.
Fran Fraschilla from ESPN on SicEm365 Radio.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
Are you ready to say big on a new 2020 Chrysler 300 Touring? A car with superior craftsmanship and quality. During the President's Day event at Allen Samuels, say big and drive a new 2020 Chrysler 300 Touring with special values of $7,250 or 0% for 72 months and $2,000 in combo cash right now. Visit the customer award-winning Allen Samuels located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco to see the incredible 2020 Chrysler 300 Touring. It's the best President's Day event going on now at Allen Samuels, your friend in the car business. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Carroll Dawson played at Baylor in the late 50s, early 60s, coached Baylor in the 70s, and with us, of course, we know about what he did with the Houston Rockets. What did yesterday's conference championship clinching win in Morgantown mean, in your opinion, to so many that have been a part of Baylor basketball, Carroll?
Well, it was very heartfelt. I was thrilled. I got a hold of Scott as soon as I could, congratulate him and the team, and what a job. It's such a fun team to watch, and I think after all these years of hollering for Baylor basketball, that was quite a joy. I have to say, I've been fortunate to be a part of. I was even with the Cowboys when we won the Super Bowl in '77, and we won a couple of championships here in the NBA when I was here. And then I put the Comets together and won 4 with the girls. And I have to say, this is right up there. I think getting there in the late 50s like I did, and we had a pretty good team. If I hadn't got hurt one year, we could have done some good, I thought, but just never did. And I was telling Scott about a couple of times in the 60s we came close, but 70 years and he got washed away yesterday. And I was so thrilled. It was just I was nervous all day for the thing to come out, and you'd think as many games as I've sat through and as many times as I watched a basketball game, it wouldn't have been that way. But my wife was even noticing how nervous I was, and then I was mainly concerned about the 3-week layoff because I could tell the difference, and it just they couldn't even go to the gym. I understand, and so that was really a different team there. But they're solid. They're good, solid players, and the coaching staff when they came together, and that was one of the best games I've watched in the Big 12 in a long time because both teams were good, and Huggins has got a good team too. And it was just a basketball enthusiast had to love that. It was just big shot after big shot. And what a way to win it! I've been thrilled ever since.
Yeah, it was an incredible game, and no one lost, although the scoreboard says that. Both teams were hitting huge shots and big moments, and both teams playing with everything they had on the floor. Carol, if you don't mind, does this team, because of how they play, the kind of players they seem to have, how tight they are, and it doesn't seem to be egos. It seems to be everyone's just happy for somebody else if they hit the winning shot or any shot. And, of course, the way Scott and his staff were put together, is this an easy team to like for no matter when you were a part of Baylor basketball?
Well, it's very easy. They do it the right way. The staff is, like you said, and they all pull for each other. You don't see nothing but teamwork out there. And as many practices as I've been to and many times I've watched, and, it's just do it the right way. And when you do it the right way, a lot of good things happen. And he's not only got good players, but they're good people. And talking to them, and they seem to be on board for each other. And it's just a team. It's easy team to pull for, whether you went to Baylor or not. But it was just quite a thrill. I mean, I don't think people realize how many times we came close, and it's just that was just one of their happier moments. I haven't had one like that since we won the NBA. I'll tell you that. It was a great feeling.
Do you obviously, Carol Dawson with us, former Rockets general manager and, of course, head coach and player at Baylor. The job that Scott has done has been told 1,000 times, and it will be told even more, and they still have work to do. They still want to close out, and they want to win a tournament next week, and then, of course, hit the March Madness. Can you try to describe the work he's done as someone like yourself who's had to build things at the professional level, what Scott's done at Baylor?
Well, he has done it the right way, and he is easy to pull for. I don't think there's any jealousy throughout that whole organization, and it's just it's a team effort. And they put they put the university and everything first. It's in the right order. I've known Scott's father and I used to run around together when he was at LSU and I was coaching, and I knew him for a long time. And then I drafted his brother, and he played for me here when I was the GM. So that family has meant a lot to me for a long time. And when Scott got there, I got to know him. A band of players in the 60s that I recruited at Baylor that are still together today, and it warms my heart every time I think about it. They get together, and they're still friends, and they still care for each other and stay up with each other's family. And they meet a lot of times at the games, and I've stayed in contact with all those guys, and it's been a real joy. I think that, in fact, the school the other day they did a deal. They called me on Tommy Bowman, who was the first black player to ever I recruited to go to Baylor, and it's just that whole system is just, I feel so part of it. Even when I left years ago, it's just heartwarming, and to see this, and I know all the people back there and all the support they've gotten and how hard they wanted all this, and I, everything that Kim's done, Sharon and I come up to a lot of the games when back in the days when we could come. Can you remember that, when we come sit and watch? Well, we'd come to either the girls' games, and it's just I think once you go to Baylor, it's in you for life, and it's for me. I know I live and die with. We've got season football tickets and season basketball tickets, and I've made that trip to Waco from Houston so many times I can do it in my sleep.
Carroll Dawson, former Baylor basketball player and head coach, Rockets general manager on Baylor, SicEm365 Radio.
2021 is finally here. Make it great by starting big at the New Year New Ride Savings event at Richard Carr. It's stimulus and refund check time. If the government gave you some of your money back, take it and multiply it with savings at Richard Carr. Find big savings like a 2018 GMC Sierra or a 2019 Buick Encore for $16,800, or get an almost new 2020 Honda Civic for only $21,900. Payments on late model cars and trucks for under $200 a month for qualified buyers. They have hundreds of used cars and trucks priced to move during the New Year New Ride Savings event. And get 0% for 72 months on a new 2021 Buick Encore with payments as $318 a month and no money down, or get a money-saving lease on the stylish, intelligent, and nimble 2021 Buick Encore GX Preferred with on-the-go Alexa technology for only $293 a month. And for qualified buyers, you can see dealer for details. During the New Year New Ride Savings event on pre-owned cars and trucks, priced to move with amazing deals. So maybe your credit's as bad as 2020. Well, it's a new year, and in 2021, 100% credit approval is the goal. So bring your tax refund or your stimulus check to Richard Carr, and they will stimulate your stimulus with even bigger savings that will pay off for years. Go to Richard Carr Motors today for details and a test drive, or log on to richardcarr.com now and have them bring the test drive to you. Make 2021 the best year ever, starting with a new car or truck during the New Year New Ride Savings event at Richard Carr.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John McClain of the Houston Chronicle, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
You know, I know there are thousands of Baylor basketball fans, Baylor athletics fans, and, you know, we've heard from former players, Pat Nunley, King McClure, heck, Carol Dawson. He was a head coach there as well. We've heard from Priscilla and Billis and C.J. Moore, among others. But, you know, there's a couple of guys I thought about last night. Once I had a chance to kind of settle and go back and watch part of the game, that was almost as intense as watching it. Ashley Hodge and Chris Fuentes. They are Baylor super fans. Ashley, of course, yes, he's one of the partners of the site. I'm not saying it because he is. I'm saying it because he absolutely lives and breathes Baylor basketball. And then Chris Fuentes, Paul, he's been to how many games in a row? He's about to tell us this.
I mean, all of them. I mean,
like, since he was born?
Yeah. I remember the first time I saw Chris in the stands, and this was a Baylor team that was very average, you know, that could have been good. And he and Ashley were legitimately the only people that looked like they gave a crap about what was going on in the game. And at the time I remember thinking, like, man, it must be strange to be them. You know, like to be there and be putting all your all into this. And then especially, like, you know, outside the student section, like if you're Ashley, and then Chris used to sit in a different spot, but he's a little moved over to the left now. But I remember thinking, like, you're sitting there. To me, it looked like they were the only people testifying in church.
I agree.
Like that's what it looked like. And so it's always very strange to me. And I always, you know, just as an observer and a person who lives in this town, had hoped that people would kind of get what they were doing. And it's finally caught on. Of course, the team had to get better with them. But I know that there were probably some people around Ashley that thought, like, what is this guy doing? Chris, and like, this is not how it works here. You sit down, you enjoy, you watch it like you're at the planetarium. I mean, like, that's.
Yeah, it's not. And I remember when we were talking about crowd size and all that, which gets a little bit boring after a while, but I was always talking about it's not a library. Mm-hmm. I mean, let's go. If you're going to. And so Ashley's done a podcast with Jason King, and their work covering men's basketball is incredible. But he did a podcast. They did another one with Mark Vidal earlier today, which is fantastic. It's up in the premium section. I think it's even up thefield68.com on Twitter. But I thought about Chris Fuentes, and I traded a text back and forth with him very late last night because I did not have enough energy to go out to the airport, you know, to get. Plus, they really didn't want you to film any of that anyway. So I said, hey, can you get some? He was there waiting for them when they arrived at midnight. And I had a chance. It's just a 2-minute clip, I think, with Chris Fuentes on what yesterday meant to him.
It was extremely special, Smoak. I'll tell you. You know, I've been going to games for 30 years. These next 2 games this week will put me at 22 years consecutive without missing a home game. And, you know, I've been there through the highs of full crowds and big wins against Kansas and Texas and things like that. But I've also been there through the lows when we were outnumbered, when we had, you know, 200 or 300 Baylor fans, and you had thousands of fans from UT and things like that, and we're just getting dogged. So that moment was a huge payoff. Like, sticking through and supporting my squad was worth it. And the thing I said last night, though, is we've reached one of our goals, but we're not going to be satisfied with one. We've got the big goal out in front of us still, and that's the first weekend in April.
Do you feel like, though, that there's this huge, massive sense of relief because of how the pause affected what was a hot team, and then the disappointment in Lawrence, and then how a grinded out, which always is with West Virginia. That could have gone the other way many times, but do you feel like there's a sense of relief and they could almost like go play basketball?
Absolutely. I think that they've got their goal in hand, and I don't care what all these other schools are saying on Twitter about asterisks and things like that. We are the Big 12 champions. We have these next 2 games to try some things out and maybe run out some different lineups, things like that. But there is a huge monkey off of our back. We can go play basketball and start prepping for the NCAA tournament. In my opinion, I think we do some different sets, run some plays, things that maybe we haven't done. We have that luxury now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. You have been, like you said, all these games in a row, home games, et cetera, been on the road with them as well. Did you ever lose hope they'd win a Big 12 title?
Absolutely not. I think we're going to win a Big 12 championship every year. That's just how I am. I am 100% a Kool-Aid drinker, and I think anybody that has conversations with me knows that. Like I've been relentlessly positive, like our coach is, and that's back in the day when, we were 1-11 in football and winning 2 or 3 games in conference in basketball. Like, I've always been that way. I've always supported my team, so it's never going to change. But now that we have a championship, like, I've been absolutely wearing people out at work today. My principal's an Aggie. My other one is a Longhorn, and I've got some tech people on campus, so I've just been wearing them out today.
All right, that's Chris Fuentes, Ashley Hodge, Chris Fuentes. I mean, they almost should get a ring because they were there at the beginning along with so many others, and knowing Scotty will probably get them one. Now, we're joined by a proud Baylor alum. We know no matter what they're doing that John McClain loves his Baylor Bears, and yesterday we had to bump him a little bit because of some of the guests that we had. And John, your thoughts about Scott Drew and the men's basketball team winning the regular season Big 12 championship?
Me and my good buddy Lester Zed, who you guys know, another Baylor grad, we watch all the games, and we've been going to games. I started going when I was 13 years old, ride my bike and sneak in the back door at Coliseum, and actually started on Arena Mars when they were down there, and I get my parents to drop me off, and then at the Coliseum, we would sneak in the back door, the players' entrance and the coach's entrance. They would go in, and then they would go up the stairs to the dressing room. We would go halfway up those stairs, climb over a rail, walk out on a ledge, and drop down into the concourse. And we did that all the time. And then one time, the Bears' assistant coach caught us. Carol Dawson, security guard, was there, told him what we were doing. Carol, instead of kicking us out, took us up the stairs into the dressing room, introduced us to Bill Menifee and the players at the time, like Tommy Bowman, and it was the greatest experience of my life, other than storming the field at Baylor Stadium, trying to get Don Trull, the quarterback, chin strap, and he kicked me in the butt. And today, Don's a good friend of mine, and he denies doing that, but he did. And so I was, through all those years, and those were some wild times in the Southwest Conference, but the basketball they have to play against now in the Big 12, I don't care what they say about the Big 10, it's second to none. And that game yesterday at West Virginia, especially coming off that awful performance at Kansas and barely squeaking by Iowa State, to pull that game out was one of the best regular season victories I've seen going back, to when I was 13, and I was so happy for them. And Kim Mulkey and her team, we tend to take them for granted because they're so great every year. But it is a great time to be a Baylor alum and a basketball fan.
John, was there a time where a conference title in basketball seemed like a ridiculous thing to you? Because, I mean, multiple generations of people have not seen one.
Well, I go back so far when Jimmy Turner, one of Baylor's biggest donors, was a guard and a great guard. I used to watch him and Daryl Hardy play, and I'd go out in the driveway and pretend I was Jimmy Turner, and he was one of my first heroes. And then everybody loved Tommy Bowman. And one year they came so close. TCU and Baylor played before a sellout crowd at the Coliseum. Hot Box, as Lloyd Thomas nicknamed it. And it was against Simpson the Great, Goo Kennedy, one of the best college games I've ever seen, and TCU won. And so I began to think, okay, in the Southwest Conference, they got a chance. But in the Big 12, when they went, and it being so good and going against Kansas every year, I began to give up. I was just happy when they could get in the NCAA tournament. Now, of course, hope they get a number one seed. Of course, everybody is hoping they make up for what happened last year when we thought they had a chance to win the national championship. And I think it would be so much fun to be able to go to Indianapolis and the setup and the format they have this year to have every game there. I go to Indianapolis at least twice a year, sometimes more for the NFL. I love it. You can walk everywhere, and I think it'd be a tremendous experience. And anybody lucky enough to go and watch Baylor play, if you need any recommendations on any restaurants, email me.
John, with the way this team played their first couple of games back from the 3-week pause, and then, obviously that was a heck of a game yesterday. Were you starting to get nervous at all that, last year was going to repeat itself at all just because of the uncertainty on how they were going to, be able to rebound from that pause? Or were you pretty confident they were going to be able to seal the deal, if not yesterday, then in one of the next two games?
No, I was nervous. Anybody wasn't nervous after watching them barely beat Iowa State, the worst team in the Big 12, and then been beat up by Kansas compared to when they beat up Kansas earlier. You had to worry, okay, 3 weeks off, are they going to be able to get it back? Because you hear about lingering effects from people with COVID-19. And, Jonathan Chambua-Chacha, when that first came back for him, it looked like he had no energy whatsoever, and then he did a great job last night. And you saw the old defense back. Kansas killing them in the paint the way they did. You're like, whoa, what's going on? And I had my doubts last night, but I certainly don't anymore. They turned that corner. And by the way, I know y'all had Fran Pickell on there, and I think he's the best analyst on college basketball. And one reason is because he's so favorable about Baylor and has been longer than anybody. And I'll tell you something that did you guys see this or discuss it? There was a great column in Athletic by a good friend of mine, Bob Kravitz, talking about Indiana making a change from Archie Miller. And nowhere did he mention Scott Drew. But Pat Forty on Yahoo had a column and saying Indiana needed to come after Scott Drew. So I hope Scott's forgotten how to get back to his home state in case they ever come calling.
There are certain football jobs that used to be the elite jobs in America that open now, and they're just not. And Indiana in basketball is now kind of almost in that spot. I don't know if that's a better job. It's not a better job than Baylor, and especially as John, it's no way. And they take care of Scott. He has a great situation here. It's like Kim's been hit by.
Can't come close enough because I go back from Rena Mars Gym to the Heart of Texas Coliseum, roof blown off by a hurricane, back to Rena Mars, back to the Coliseum, and then to the Farrell Center. And I'm hoping I'll be alive when the new one is open because I can't wait because it just looks so impressive. Everything about Baylor now. Well, I tell people that haven't been back in a long time, you have to go back. You have to drive up and down University Parks. You won't recognize what Baylor's done there. And when they do, they're just awe-inspired by what Baylor's done. And looking at those renderings and looking at Mac's quotes that he gave you guys, that I can't wait for the time to come. And I know I asked you this question, David, because a lot of my friends in Waco and who come to games have asked, if you have students crossing LaSalle to walk across there to go to a basketball game and you're selling 70, or you got a crowd of 7,500 That's a lot of long lights or detours. So I'm hoping one of those big alums would put a people bridge over LaSalle that said like McLean Drive or McLean Walkway or Turner Walkway or Smoak Walkway, David and Craig. We know it wouldn't be Paul, he's too cheap, but put it up there, put the name of the person who donated the money to build that walkway and have it wide like the bridge at the football stadium so people can go over LaSalle. But I think that's tremendous. I can't wait till it's done. And truthfully, I can't wait to retire so I can come up for more Baylor games, football, basketball, baseball, women. I might have to do like Carol Dawson did, get a place up there to spend the night after the games.
Yeah, and we had him on. By the way, there's a good chance that it could be over near the Robinson Tower, which would be across 35, which means there's still foot traffic. That still remains to be seen what they're going to do there. Yeah. Paul?
John, you mentioned about, some like I saw, a couple other people have written about Scott Drew to Indiana and all that. And that's all well and good. It would make sense to me if he had been here for like 6 or 7 years and like, okay, he's built Baylor to this and he was a climber. But there's something to be said. This is his program. This is no one else's program. He and his guys built this. It's not like going to Indiana. That's never going to be his, ever.
No, it never will. But you could be the one to revive it. But Scott, I guess he'll want to win a national championship at Baylor, of course. But when you win one, like Tim Mulkey can tell you, then you want to win two. That becomes an even bigger goal. And Baylor has always paid money. Going back to when Tom Stanton was the AD and did an outstanding job and helped build those facilities and made sure that the women's offices were the equal to the men and the women's golf dressing room out on their own course was equal to the guys, and the baseball stadium and the soccer stadium. Tom made sure people donated to the whole project and not just one. All that's been done. Now it's ready for the next wave. And I think when people see what's coming with the new football office and turning over the Farrell Center and the current building for the football staff for the other sports, is just going to make it that more luring for not just donors to donate money, but more and more athletes to come in every sport.
If you put a list of 2 columns together on why Baylor or why Indiana, the only thing Indiana would have going for it is tradition. That's it. I mean, you got a new arena, you're winning, you're recruiting well. It seems silly to me. But, John, outside of basketball, J.J. Watt to the Arizona Cardinals, what were your thoughts on that decision by Watt, and how do you think he fits in there?
Stunned, Craig. I never mentioned them, never heard anything about them. Nobody in Arizona did either. Caught everyone off guard when J.J. announced that yesterday. His defensive coordinator, Vance Joseph, was here during JJ's first 3 years in the NFL. He's got DeAndre Hopkins, cornerback Jonathan Joseph, and one of his starting defensive line mates here, Angelo Blackson, are there. And it's a great city, an up-and-coming team, and I'm writing a column Sunday. Well, why not trade Deshaun Watson to Kyler Murray?
John, hey, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Thanks for helping us move us to the other day, John McClain. Go ahead and finish this out.
Anytime. You know what it is, all about the 2 words, sick and Sic'em.
Yeah, Sic'em. That's John McClain. He was able to get in the premium section today and read that summary that Craig, you wrote, Craig's summary on the Mac Rhodes interview from yesterday is up. Along with a lot of the podcasts that Armstrong has put up. And there's one thread that is just the analysts, like Fran Fraschilla, Jay Billis, Pat Nunley, maybe CJ Moore. There's going to be all of them put up in one thread today. All right, Paul, we break here and then come back with your 5?
No, we can talk for 5 minutes and then do the 5.
Women's, let's do the volleyball real quick because it's been a heck of a week, and they've never won in Austin. They're number 6 in the country. Texas is 2-0. Texas unbeaten. Texas has had them. Remember last year, Baylor beat Texas in the at home last year to beat in the long streak. They're playing tonight down in Austin. That thing tips off at 7 o'clock. So there's another interesting event coming up tonight between Baylor and UT. Now, anything else from today? I mean, I know we've been consumed with this basketball title, but my God, when it takes you 71 years, you should be.
I got to say, I just sent you guys a text of a tweet. The Texas Tribune is finding out more and more about this Eyes of Texas controversy that is kind of mushroom clouding on these UT alums. And, of course, the media persecution of the poor little upstart University of Texas continues, but accusations today and backed up by players that alums basically told them that they would not get jobs inside the state of Texas if they continue to protest the Eyes of Texas. I think that the university needs to take a more proactive approach to this and really break down why this song would be offensive to people and figure it out, because this thing is not going away, and it's the perfect social media type controversy that will never go away until they address it.
Well, a few things about this. They're supposed to have a report by the end of the week. Del Conte has said that within the last 24 hours that the report or whatever not investigation, like, I don't want to make it sound like it's police work or something, but like study. Their study into the song and its background and how to go about still playing it, but people being more aware of the history. That's supposed to be coming down this week. So the timing is quite frankly, I don't know if it's good or bad for UT. But, I saw a lot of their donors. And again, 5 people on Twitter doesn't mean they speak for the entire university. But there were some fans I saw that were calling the athletes soft and calling them babies. And if they don't like it, go play somewhere else. And it's like, your entire argument is defending a effing song. A song. And you're telling these players that because they don't like the song, they should stop being soft and go elsewhere. You're defending a song, people. So a lot of people showing their idiocy when it comes to this. UT and some of their alums have not handled this really well, but they have addressed it as far as that study that's going to be put out or released in the next few days. And, I don't know where it really goes from here, because the school itself has said, we're going to keep playing it. The president has said, we're going to keep playing it. We're going to do this study, but we're going to keep playing it. And so I don't think this argument will really ever die down, but it is interesting that these former players like DeMarvion Overshone and there was a couple of others that were –
Caden Stearns today.
Yeah, Caden Stearns. Those are 2 of their biggest players over the last 2-3 years. So you got guys like that coming out and saying –
Overshone's coming back, right? He's coming back for another year, right?
Who?
Overshone's coming back. He's back this year, is he?
Okay, well, a former player and a current player that are coming out and saying that, they were being told that they have to do this or do that. So, there's people lying along the way, obviously, because, no, we never demand – Chris Del Conte said, no, we never said that you have to do that. And there's 2 players saying, yeah, y'all did. And then there's the alumni argument. So, we'll see how it all settles in the end. But this has been handled pretty badly from all angles, and it's caused infighting that, quite frankly, just gives UT a little bit of a bad look. And if you're a recruit and you don't really know the depths of the conversation and things like that, and all you see is just this argument over a song, I'm sure you're a little bit puzzled about, what the big deal is. So we'll see what happens. I didn't want to make mention that with that win yesterday by men's basketball, am I correct in saying that the only programs at Baylor that have not won Big 12 titles would be men's and women's cross country?
They've won I think team titles. They've won individual, a lot of those, but as far as the team title, I believe so. I could be wrong, but I think you're right.
Yeah, I was just wondering about that because, you get that basketball one out of the way, and Baylor is right there behind. And I say right there, they're pretty still far behind Texas as far as the overall number of Big 12 titles, and they're 3 behind Oklahoma for 3rd all time. So UT's got 191 titles overall. That includes 135 out of the 191 that are in the postseason. Baylor has the 2nd most regular season championships, and now the 3rd overall, counting both regular season and postseason championships in the Big 12. So I just thought that was a neat note. It made me wonder, who hasn't won one? And I believe, men's and women's cross country, the only programs that have yet to accomplish that.
All right. I saw this article. Paul, I know you have your 5 for 55. August 22nd of 2003, Baylor University hires Scott Drew as his new basketball coach. And there are pictures that I've seen up on the site. You take that moment, and even Pat Nunley goes, I didn't know anything about him. I didn't know who he was. And now you look at it in the 18 years since he was hired as they win the Big 12, almost 18 years. Paul, your turn.
All right, it's time for the top 5 at 5:55.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55.
How much money did we spend on that? Right there. That's $1,000 open right there.
I mean, look, I don't want to say. I mean, believe me, that's just the audio. When I get the video done, there's some Pixar level graphics that are going to happen. It's going to look, it's expensive. Armstrong's very nervous about it. I'll tell you that right now. I did forget to, because I spent, I'll tell you. So I'll just give you a little behind the scenes. That is just a little 5-second audio clip under a music bed, but I spent about an hour today because I had some free time messing with music beds and forgot to send the actual top 5 to Jack so he could do the graphic. So
oh dear God.
So I have at least 11 more versions of that because I wanted it to sound good and I can rotate through it, but that's just how it goes. All right, here are top 5 stories that I am tired of. I'm tired of them. I'm just tired of the people complaining about it or whatever, or the speculation. Number 5, the transfer portal. I'm tired of it because I wish they would just make a decision on what it's going to be. Let's set the rule and let's move on. Right? Because there's all like the NCAA, like the coaches and all this, like, you know, there's this year and then that, like, let's just make the rule like, okay, post-COVID transfer portal rules, and then what the transfer portal rules are going to be in the future. Figure it out, and let's move on. That's where I'm at.
All right.
I'm with that too. It seems like there's another new piece to it all the time. You know, now it's, hey, everybody gets a free year, and then what's the next thing going to be? Because basically the athletes, when all is said and done, are going to be able to do whatever the hell they want whenever they want, and I don't think that that's going to bode well for the future of college sports. I'm all for rights, as I said the other day, and getting more, but it seems like people are almost wanting to just hand the entire key to the castle to the athletes themselves, which I don't think is going to work well.
Yeah, it's like you get everything for free. Paul, I'm going to write down one of what I think are the 5 stories. I just wrote it on a piece of paper, so if I'm wrong, I'll let you know.
All right. Number 4, Deshaun Watson. Look, come to me when there's an actual trade. Like, don't tell me where. Deshaun Watson fits anywhere. He fits anywhere. You know, there's only a few teams that have the draft capital to do it unless somebody really wants to mortgage their future. So let's stop speculating let's trade Deshaun Watson for this guy. No, come to me when there's something. I know you got to fill 24 hours of content, but that. And then in the same regard, the Russell Wilson deal. And I'm more annoyed by this because Russell Wilson has done something, and I love Russell Wilson, but by putting the Cowboys in this, it's given this much more legs. And the Cowboys are not realistic. The Cowboys, to me, when it comes to any of these trade demands or all this, because Jamal Adams did it too, they're the head cheerleader who's very attractive but doesn't have a lot of substance, but your buddies ask you, hey, who are the 4 girls you'd want to ask to the prom? And you list off 3, and they're like, oh, I think that's good. And then you say, you know what? Head cheerleader. And they're like, no. You know,
Every agent has learned, as have the media, if you put the Cowboys logo or name in something, it will draw interest, even if it's not even true.
Yeah.
And I mean, day after day after day of debate.
Yeah. I mean,
Russell we've been talking about Dak Prescott's contract for 2 years.
Hold on, Craig. We'll get there.
Sorry. Damn it. I just lost my. Okay.
Yeah. Number 2, James Harden anything. At this point, the only reason I would care about James Harden something as if he robbed a casino like in Ocean's 11. Then I'd be like, well, that's interesting. How did he pull that off? I'd like to know. But other than that, I don't care about his stupid beard. I don't care about how he got stupid fat and then stupid skinny and the stupid nets. I don't care. I'm just sick of it.
I don't care about his stupid gifts to rappers. I don't care about his feelings. I'm with you, man. He's a great basketball player. I can appreciate him as a basketball player. Don't care about any of the other stuff. Don't care at all about hearing about James Harden. I'm not saying shut up and dribble, like that, but I'll appreciate watching him and could care less about the rest of it.
Yeah, and part of it's not really even his fault. I get the TMZ.
They're retiring his jersey. Did I see that? Is that right? They're going to retire his number or whatever, his jersey?
That is clown stuff right there, in my opinion.
I think that's as polarizing, and because he's playing in Houston tonight. And that's like, I saw that debate. Maybe I wasn't paying attention. Go ahead, Paul.
All right. And number one, we've already talked about it. Dak's contract. Sign it. Don't sign it. Let's move on with our lives. Like, get it done. I mean, it's 2 years it's driven on. It's kind of like, to me, it now feels like, when somebody says they're going to run for governor or something, but they haven't really done it yet. And it's all like, do it, don't do it. Like, let's get to the reality of this. I saw the Dallas Morning News this morning, like, hey, there's a report that the Cowboys and the Dak are progressing. Okay, I don't care about progressing. I care about done. Done, not done. That's it.
Yeah, I know. And we have until what? Go ahead, Craig.
And they've written that article 20 times. Like, I've read the progressing headline 20 times in the last year. And it's just, I think it's to fill a quota or something, like, hey, you need to have an article every day.
Yep.
Crap, there's nothing going on. Let's write about Dak Prescott. I mean, I feel like that's got, because I can't imagine that there's people that actually have so much interest in this going on for as long as it has, and nothing ever really changing except for the Cowboys losing more and more leverage. So, yeah, it's just because it's the Cowboys, and I guess enough people read it. But, man, I don't care to read another word until he puts ink to paper.
When Baylor finished off that win against West Virginia yesterday, my mind started swirling about, okay, how do we try to go back and hear from people who know him, covered him, played for him, coached him? King McClure, Scott Drew, C.J. Moore, Jay Billis. I just text him. Text me right back. Pat Nunley, Chuck Cooperstein, Carol Dawson, Fran Fraschilla, John McClain, and superfan Chris Fuente. And tomorrow, we've already got some people loaded up to be a part of the show for more on Scott Drew and Baylor, but also more on many things that are going on in the world of sports. Great job, Paul. Thank you. Craig, thank you. Armstrong Sims, the genius, the madman behind all of this. Thank you very much. Appreciate the text that we had today. David Smoak, for everyone I've mentioned, and our incredible list of sponsors, and you, the fans of Baylor who listen or watch, or fans of anywhere else that are a part of this show, we appreciate you so much. Spread the word. This is SicEm365 Radio.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.
It's the President's Day event at Allen Samuels with deals on the 2020 Jeep Renegade Latitude with total values of $6,750 or 0% for 72 months plus $2,500 in combo cash. Shop AllenSamuelsDCJ.com. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.